running back who started, who I can't remember the name.
Demarion
Owens. It's funny how that works. You forgot Isaiah Abbey. I forgot Demarion Owens. But with that being said, we saw that they finally met their match on that end. But you have guys returning like Isaac Hubert and, Cale Williams, who's now committed to the Citadel as well. That Creekview defense is going to be not maybe as good as they were last year. That's a big ask, but they're still going to be sub 20 points per game.
Yeah, they allowed 13 points per game last season, like you mentioned. Hubert, Williams, also got a young man by the name Cox Young Taylor Cox Young in the secondary. Should be interesting to see those guys work. I'm excited as always about the Creekview offensive line. Those guys like Braden DeBrow, Cooper Saladin, and of course the running back. How can we not forget Tyler Stevens, the hard-nosed workhorse for that Grizzly offense.
And the Air Force commit. So it's kind of we talk a lot about pipelines especially, and that's one of those. Air Force, he'll be joining Pat Dolan over there, the safety from Cherokee. So that's interesting as well. But let's turn attention to Etowah, right?
Yes.
I think everyone knows 1-9 wasn't what they were expecting. Matt Kemper comes over from Roswell. He's got the pedigree. He is one of those old-fashioned type coaches. Runs a very interesting offense, though. And with that being said, when you think about it, coming into this season, they finally have a full offseason. They finally have a full preseason, which they were cut off in the shortened COVID year last year. So coming into this one, you have to feel like Etowah is going to be somewhat improved from where they were last year.
Yeah, certainly will. Braden Bohanna has taken over the reins at quarterback. He's got the pedigree, coach's son. So we'll see how that works out. Still a young team. Your offensive line is anchored by a guy like Tate Nelms. You return Jaden Maddox on the defensive line. Carson Allen in special teams is going to be key for them, but still a lot of unproven pieces in the skill positions. Now, they do have a young running back who looks really good.
Luis Martinez.
Yes, so we'll see if Etowah can capitalize on that. They're going to have to solve the riddle of that Creekview defense.
It's going to be tough, and it's going to be a really telling first game, I think, for both of those teams. Creekview's picked as a 7-point favorite according to the Maxwell ratings and a 3-point favorite according to CalPreps. Still too early for us to make our official predictions and things like that as well. So we'll get that later in the season, of course. And you can sign up for the Cedarwood Tavern Pick'em contest. You need to go over and check Cedarwood Tavern out on Twitter for those details.
Absolutely. It's I think this week Cedarwood Tavern had a 58-60 entrance. So a lot of folks excited for high school football. So those are county games and a couple other games around the state that have big implications.
Very similar to 8 greats around the state on the Turd Ferguson
report. That's right.
Throwback. Let's jump on to the Lassiter and River Ridge game. Lassiter comes in from last season. They were 2-8. River Ridge 11-1 last season. River Ridge won this game last year 49-21. Lassiter is an interesting story because they played Sequoyah in the spring scrimmage and then Woodstock in the scrimmage just a couple of weeks ago. So very much a lot of Cherokee County football over there. As we jump into this, as River Ridge is picked as a 13-point favorite according to the Maxwell ratings and a 42-point favorite according to CalPreps. River Ridge may have even gotten better from last year. We looked up at their offensive line with the likes of Matthew Ushak, John Falterra, and then obviously returning Jack Hall to guard. That is a big offensive line, and they're returning Amir Morrison, Jackson Head, Carson Latham, Brian Bradley. The list goes on. Art, what are you looking for from River Ridge in this one?
I'm looking for River Ridge to dominate again and put their stamp. We talked to Coach Collins. How do you improve on a season like last? Yeah, there are little things we can do here and there, but I think those guys are still hungry. You mentioned Amir Morrison, the Class 6A leading rusher. AJC Super 11 pick. Yep. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. I can't remember the last time a player from Cherokee County was included in that awards. Quarterback who might be a little bit undersized in Carson Latham, but, man, this guy can beat you with his arm and with his legs and, most importantly, with his brain. You've got a great coaching staff over there led by Coach Collins, and you mentioned the defense, that line anchored by Brian Bradley and Hunter Coleman. The problem with River Ridge is if Lassiter can attack that secondary. The problem is I don't think Bradley and Coleman will allow him to do that.
I think you're exactly right about that. A young River Ridge secondary as they graduated 8 starters on the River Ridge defense last year, so a lot of talent to replace over there and experience as well. Let's talk about some other games to watch. Johns Creek and Gainesville will be playing tonight on TV. That's Peachtree TV in a Corky-Kell game. The Corky-Kell games have been a little lopsided to begin with, a one-sided affair, but hopefully that game will be a little bit better. A 7A school versus a very talented 6A. Johns Creek being in Region 7 6A with Sequoyah, Creekview, and River Ridge, one to watch over there. Anything you're looking for in particular from that one?
Johns Creek has a lot of prospects on the defensive side of the ball. They also return their starting quarterback. They had some trouble scoring points last season, so it'll be interesting to see if Johns Creek can jump on Gainesville early.
Yeah, you're right about that. Another one to watch, Chattahoochee and Alpharetta, Region 7 6A versus Region 5 7A. What are you looking for in that one?
Well, Chattahoochee's replacing a lot of talent as well. They had a few talented receivers, a versatile quarterback there. And then you talked about Alpharetta, a team that has a star on the defensive side of the ball. And then they also have what their coach called is the best quarterback. This is Alpharetta's coach, not my words, but Coach Curvin says his quarterback is the best. Ben Guthrie is the best quarterback in the state. That's high praise, and there's a lot of great quarterbacks in the state of Georgia.
A lot of great quarterbacks, as you mentioned. Forest Park will be playing Riverwood. That's another Region 7 6A matchup. Hatfield Charter and Milton. That's going to be an instant classic. Hatfield Charter, smaller school, but man, they got some talent. And Milton, as we know, loaded once again, ranked in the top 3 in all of the rankings for 7A.
Yeah, you're right, Will. Charter, former 2A state champion, moving up to 4A. Had some trouble with Milton last season, but hey, man, that's a team that is always comes prepared to play. And like you said, Milton is what they are. LT Overton, he's probably out this game, but they can just hand the ball to Jordan McDonald 25 times, and nobody's going to stop that guy.
Jordan McDonald, 3-star running back, still waiting for a commitment out of him, but will definitely be going to a Division I school for sure. Another one we have, South Forsyth and Roswell. Roswell, another very confident quarterback with Robbie Roper, a sore subject for some Wolverine fans, that's for sure. But without getting too much into that, what do you think about Roswell coming into this season?
I think Roswell's got to replace their running back. He transfers over to Collins Hill, so it'll be interesting to see if Ethan Nation will be playing on both sides of the ball or who Roswell plugs in for Ryan Stevenson. Like you mentioned, Robbie Roper, pretty big arm, has a nice touch on his ball. They've also got talent at the tight end and on the defense side of the ball as well. So I think Roswell will win that game handily. They're a team that at the end of the day in Class 5, 7A, they're going to be competing either for one of those home playoff spots.
Yeah, for sure. And another game I have marked is not really a region game, but it's one for Calhoun to watch, Woodstock to watch. Gave the bag away there, as Dalton will be playing Calhoun, 2 blue bloods of the North Georgia area. Dalton, as we know, has the talents with the like of Jameer Gibbs from the past. Matt Land was the coach over there and also a Region 6, 6A member for years.
Right.
And Calhoun in 5A. But Calhoun is also a Cartersville-type team where they just expect to win every year, and Woodstock should be keeping an eye on that game and trying to get some film early.
Yeah, you're talking about 2 of the dominant teams in Northwest Georgia, city school systems where they can kind of get the pick of the litter.
Yep.
And so it ought to be a great matchup. Dalton has really owned a lot of that rivalry game as of late. I think Calhoun's got him the last couple times. Dalton breaking a new quarterback. It'll be interesting to see Calhoun as the Yellow Jackets will actually travel to Woodstock, and that'll be an exciting matchup. It's that's almost like a state playoff type atmosphere.
Yes.
When you bring a team like Calhoun into play.
It's always fun to me when you get to see a team that normally doesn't play a team in the county, and they get to come down and travel as the fans are getting ready to stand for the national anthem here. But when you get to watch these teams come down, we're talking about Cherokee Cartersville's fun, Cherokee Rome's fun, Woodstock Calhoun's a lot of fun. Creekview even has a couple of games scheduled with some Blue Bloods, back in the past as well. Not so much this year as they play an all Cherokee County schedule, which we appreciate, and we'll be coming to Creekview very soon on our Cherokee County Game of the Week here on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. Well, folks, don't go anywhere. We just got started with the Northside Hospital Cherokee pregame show here on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network on WLJA 101.1 FM. Welcoming you in. I am Will Cooper, joined alongside Arthur Mosley. Zakk Gross will join us momentarily. But for now, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back. You're listening to the Cherokee County Game of the Week on WLJA 101.1 FM.
Northside Hospital Cherokee proudly supports Cherokee County football. Thousands of Northside doctors, nurses, and staff are right here in Canton, serving on the top-ranked team for your family's health needs. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or in your neighborhood, Northside has the expertise to provide exceptional care in your community. For sports medicine, cardiology, maternity, oncology, and other specialties, you can trust your health care to Northside. Visit northside.com/Cherokee to learn more.
Golf cars used to only be for golfers. But now there's so much more. Golf Cars also offer transportation around your neighborhood or farm. Get yours at Golf Cars of Canton, your Club Car, Tomberlin, Garia, and Columbia dealer. Plus, they have a full service and parts department. Check out the selection of used golf cars or ask about renting. Go to golfcarsofcanton.com. Visit them at 121 Waleska Street in the Sandy Hook Shopping Center or call them 678-880-1156.
It's football time, and Brian Aaron at Woodstock Outlet has some great great news for all the football fans.
Hey, y'all, we glad to be a sponsor for these games and have a great time. Stay safe out there, and we just really do love being part of our community, and thankful we got the best customers a business could possibly have. And we built a new warehouse. We got it full for the pickup or delivery, so we're ready to go. Y'all come see us, and we sure do appreciate you.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packerland Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
Northside Hospital Cherokee proudly supports Cherokee County football. Thousands of Northside doctors, nurses, and staff are right here in Canton, serving on the top-ranked team for your family's health needs. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or in your neighborhood, Northside has the expertise to provide exceptional care in your community. For sports medicine, cardiology, maternity, oncology, and other specialties, you can trust your health care to Northside. Visit northside.com/Cherokee to learn more.
You just heard the end of the national anthem performed by the Woodstock Wolverines marching band here in the stands as we are here at Woodstock, the Woodshed, as some people will call it. I'm joined alongside Arthur Mosley, Zachary Gross, and I'm your host, Will Cooper. Guys, we were just talking about the other games in the area, but let's face it, we're here for one thing, and that's Sequoyah versus Woodstock, so let's jump into this.
Let's do it, Will. Hey, first of all, hats off to the Woodstock Wolverine Marching Band.
Nice.
A very beautiful rendition of our national anthem, so great job there, Will. Two teams looking to get off on the good foot right here. You got Woodstock, maybe they'll break out a Woodstick and beat Sequoyah tonight, but you've got Woodstock looking to break in a new head coach and Coach Troy Hoff. We talked about his success before coming on the air, and you've got the grizzled veteran over there, Coach James Teeter, in his 13th season with the Sequoyah Chiefs.
I also know someone else who's standing on the Sequoyah sideline this game, and that's defensive coordinator Brent Buddy.
Now, that's a familiar name for all of these Wolverine fans, Will. Brent Buddy also had spent several years here as a head coach, also a coordinator when his dad was a head coach at Woodstock. So a lot of storylines here tonight in this ball game.
Right you are about that. Let's jump into the preview for the Woodstock Wolverines. 3-7 last year, wins against Sequoyah, as this was the game here, 41-35. We'll talk about that instant classic here coming up in just a minute. They beat Campbell 48-7 and Etowah 24-14, which is really the game that matters for Woodstock. And their losses against River Ridge, it was close, 17-22. We talked about that Creekview defense. They lost that one 2-16. Lost to Calhoun, as we were mentioning, 14-35. Lost to the Explosive Warriors 7-41. Lost to Alpharetta 12-45. Milton 21-52, and Roswell 12-42 as well. This is Coach Troy Hoff's first season. But, guys, over 5 seasons, he was 51-17 at Eastside Covington, bringing a lot of pedigree coming into this one. Also worth noting, his offenses averaged 30.7 points per game over his 5 seasons. So we're going to expect to see a high-flying Woodstock offense. Their next game will be August 27th versus River Ridge. Art, overall, Woodstock, what's your opinion coming into this season?
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned Coach Hoff and his pedigree, a guy who was tutored underneath Ken Heupel, legendary coach at Northern State University Division II program. If you know that last name, yeah, that's right, that's Josh Heupel's dad. So definitely has some pedigree. His numbers speak for themselves, what he was able to do at Eastside over in Covington. Woodstock's going to throw the ball around. It looks like we've seen a little bit of their scrimmage. It looks like quarterback Dan Como has gotten very comfortable back here in the backfield. Probably not much different in terms of getting the ball out very quick for this Woodstock offense. I think the big difference, will be on defense.
You're right about that, and that's something we got to keep an eye on against this wing T offense, as we talk about the Sequoyah Chiefs here. Finished the season 4-6 with a winning record in the region. Somehow, based on what you called some Forsyth County math,
Fulton County
math, they were able to get through to the playoffs. We're talking about Cambridge there. Sequoyah got left out. Wins for Sequoyah last season against the aforementioned Cambridge 44-41, Chattahoochee 23-14, Riverwood 28-17, and Centennial 52-13. They lost to Woodstock, Cherokee, Cass, Johns Creek, Creekview all in a row. They started out 0-5, won 2 in a row, came back and lost to River Ridge 9-35, then won the final 2 games. This is James Teeter's 13th season with the Chiefs, and he is 68-61 overall. And guys, they won 4 of their 5 last games as they were playing over here. An interesting note, Sequoyah has not won in this rivalry since 2004. They are 0-4 coming into this game in the last 4 meetings here. So what are you looking for from Sequoyah in this game?
Well, they've got to get Matthew Traynor off to a great start. Look, he's a junior quarterback this season. He has secured that starting spot. He's going to have Peyton Lucas in the backfield with him, also a familiar name, Pie Scores as well. And probably going to see the sophomore Jackson Hancock along the line somewhere there. Also a big plus for Sequoyah. We know they're small on that offensive line front, but that defensive line, they return Harrison Hood, Kamar Plummer, and Avery Bourne. Those guys have got to get it done because, like we mentioned with River Ridge, Sequoyah's also got a very young secondary that they don't want to get exposed early by this Air Hoff Wolverine offense.
Well, we're going to see a tale of 2 tapes as we've got the high-flying Woodstock offense set to air it out against the ground and pound. 3 yards in the cloud of dust, Sequoyah Chiefs. It's going to be a good one, folks. Make sure you stay tuned. We got a lot more to talk about. This is going to wrap up the Northside Hospital Cherokee pregame show on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. When we come back, we'll welcome everyone into the broadcast booth and bring you the first Friday Night Light actions here on WLJA 101.1 FM. 2 minutes and we're back.
Northside Hospital Cherokee proudly supports Cherokee County football. Thousands of Northside doctors, nurses, and staff are right here in Canton, serving on the top-ranked team for your family's health needs. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or in your neighborhood, Northside has the expertise to provide exceptional care in your community. For sports medicine, cardiology, maternity, oncology, and other specialties, you can trust your health care to Northside. Visit northside.com/Cherokee to learn more.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Canton. They've found the best used cars and trucks to fill their lot. Hundreds to choose from. Just go to SchottenkirkChrysler.com and do a search. Then come by and test drive your choice or buy online. Schottenkirk is proud to call Cherokee County home and are happy to be the dealer with a fully stocked lot of cars and trucks. Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off Riverstone Parkway in Canton at 200 Liberty Boulevard.
Hi, I'm Dave Garner.
And I'm Janet Mueller.
And we're your local Woodman Life representatives.
You know, Dave, it must be tough announcing games and still providing financial security through life insurance, retirement, and member benefits.
Well, Janet, it's an honor, but it means that I have a great partner when it comes to protecting families from financial hardship.
So come see us.
Or call us at 706-273-9347.
Or 770-894-7898.
And find out how Woodman Life can help you leave memories, not expenses. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Folks, the wait is over. We're back on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. The captains are out at the Woodstock Wolverine W. The rest of the Wolverines are held up in the woodshed waiting for someone to release the hounds. And on the left side, we've got the Sequoyah Chiefs banner waving and ready to take the field as the clock ticks down with just about 60 seconds as chills go down everyone's spine. And that's a good change because it's been pretty warm here for an early August game, hasn't it, guys?
Oh, my goodness. It's been so hot. But we expect this in Georgia in mid-August. We know in a couple weeks we'll have a phenomenal football weather. But, man, it's just great to be out here, see these kids in pads. Not only that, a full stadium here tonight in Cherokee County.
Woodstock will receive the kick as we get ready to watch these teams run out on the field. Want to bring into the broadcast Zakk Gross. Zakk, your first time on the broadcast booth. Thank you for being with us on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network.
I am more than happy to be here. I'm happy to see some pads popping. It's been a while for me since I've been watching some high school football, so I'm really looking forward to it tonight.
Zakk, a North Forsyth graduate. Tell us a little bit about that.
I went to North Forsyth, graduated in 2014, and I've seen some talent roll through some of the stadiums I've played in. Robert Kimdichi and Kenyon Drake, a former teammate of mine, is now an offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns. So I'm looking for somebody to stand out. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's what we're talking about. They have the red smoke coming out of the woodshed over there. Talking about a little bit of pyrotechnics now at Woodstock, adding a little bit of money. Film crew down there as well. So there's going to be a high-level production. Have to check out the social medias for that. We have the Chiefs dancing to the left, the woodshed doing the wave over to the right, and we are ready for high school football. The Chiefs are through first, and AC/DC playing over the radio here. A good crowd on both sides. The woodshed showing out in their neon colors. It looks like Sequoyah may have copied them with the neon colors over there, but a very good student section as they let off the yellow smoke as well. Of cannon fire, and here we go. The Woodstock Wolverines take the field. That's new this year. And we are set for kickoff. Guys, I'm Will Cooper, joined alongside Arthur Mosley, Zakk Rose here in the broadcast booth with you. A beautiful Friday night in Woodstock, Georgia, and we are ready for kickoff.
Will, man, you mentioned it, a beautiful Friday night. The scoreboard says 12 minutes, zeros on the clock, and these teams get ready to hit the field. I couldn't be more excited. Excited to be alongside Zakk Gross as well this week.
Yes, sir.
And again, we want to say hello to our friend Dave Garner, and also, man, one of the most knowledgeable guys in Cherokee High School football, Vaughn Brown, listening to us on the radio from Baylor, Texas.
Vaughn Brown, way out in Texas, taking care of family matters, very respectable. Dave Garner sitting on the couch eating potato chips. Probably can't hear us over the crunch of said potato chips. Not as respectable, but that's the last time I want to pick on Dave for the game, I promise. So it's too easy of a target, and Dave's going to be in and out. He obviously has some things to do with Valdosta State, and we wish him all the best. Of course, this is not the last we'll hear from Dave. Don't worry, we'll see him throughout the season as well. So hopefully I can be a serviceable replacement for him and at least fill in the gaps that Dave leaves in all of our hearts, as he is truly one of the greatest broadcasters that you will find, not only on a local level, guys, but truly he could do it anywhere. It just so happens that he chooses to have a family life and chooses to be home. So,
well, we're very grateful that we get to hang around Dave, and now we don't want to make his head too big where he can't fit through the doorway next time at the WLJA studios. But Dave Garner, a legend in his own right, and so we're happy that we're on board with him. Will, I'm going to turn it over to you for the kickoff, man, because it's about game time.
It's about game time, folks. We've waited long enough. Let's get to it. Much shorter than our segmented pregame show from the Corky Kell. We were on air for 64 minutes before first kick, so a nice change here in the broadcast booth. We want to thank Woodstock High School and new AD Julie Crow for allowing us to be here. A true pleasure to work with. As number 88 is set to kick it off for the Chiefs. That is Joseph Ryan, the senior. We've seen a few different kickers try out for them. They have 4 listed on the depth chart. And toe meets leather, and we're underway in Woodstock, Georgia. And Adonis Garcia, the back man, will let that one trickle out towards the back of the end zone. Adonis, a transfer, a transfer from Massachusetts. Not a lot of tape on him, only a junior, but listed at 6'3", 180 pounds. Art should be a playmaker.
Should be a playmaker. We saw some of the plays he made in the scrimmage last week. He can get the ball in the open space and make some moves. He ought to be excited to watch against this young Sequoyah secondary.
Right you are. They'll line up with 4 wide, 3 to the near side. Cuomo in the backfield. Tyler Duth had a guy to watch, the left tackle, 6'4", 270, has an offer from Maryland as a junior. Sends a man in motion. The snap, surveys, it's a quick screen outside, almost intercepted. The route was jumped by Jackson Hancock. That pass was intended out to the left. Alex Hendricks, the senior. Wow, what a start from the Sequoyah defense.
Well, looks like Hancock had that play. They had that dialed up or had the film on it. He just jumped the route and made a diving attempt to break that one up. Almost had a pick.
Coach, all week long, I'm sure he probably was pointing that out on film.
Something they've seen a lot, that's for sure, as Brent Buddy is the defensive coordinator, the former head coach at Woodstock. 4 split out. They're going to send a man in motion. That's Preston Lawrence, who will play linebacker as well. High snap, but fielded, and it's a handoff up the middle, and he's rumbling forward. He's going to be close to the first down marker, and it's right at it. Let's see if they'll give it to him, and that carry was also by Alex Hendricks. And move those chains. It's a first down, as Woodstock's got something working here early with only 11 seconds off the clock.
That was a great kick out there by number 74. He really could have drove a truck through that hole. It was awesome.
And that's Tyler Duthit, as you were mentioning, as we talked about, 6'5", 270, a Maryland offer as well. He's one of the 2 returning seniors, as J.T. Hunter, the center, listed at 6'3", 265, will also be the returning senior here. 3 to the far side, 1 to the near side. Gets the snap, fakes the handoff there, quick pass over the middle, and it might be intercepted. Let's see. and he came up with it. A great interception by Jackson Hancock. So he jumps the first route and on the tip drill brings it down, and it'll be a turnover as Sequoyah takes over the ball. Art, what a great interception.
Great interception by Hancock. We talked about the young secondary. That play, credit the cornerback to knock that ball up in the air. Hancock, very opportunistic play right there for the sophomore. Sets the Chiefs up in great field position deep in Woodstock territory.
Hey, and that was some hustle there by number 13 on Sequoyah. I mean, just absolutely right in the face.
That was Harrison Hood. So we'll set up for the wing T here. Woodstock is playing a 3-5 defense. Obviously, they will not be showing that against a wing T offense. They'll be having a lot more guys on the line. This is going to be a counter here and rumbles forward for a good gain. Jackson Hancock once again on a lead block on the outside, but the carry is by Jack Pie scores here, as that'll be close. It'll be a gain of 8, so let's call it 2nd and 2.
Yeah, Pie scores just taking that ball and working his way through the middle of that Woodstock defense. Will, we know what Sequoyah wants to do. They're going to ground it and pound it, man, and no surprise right there on play 1.
A lot of pre-snap formations here and changes with the wing back, fullback, and running back, as you'll see in a wing T. This time it's a fullback handoff, and a gain. It'll be plenty enough for a first down. Let's call it a gain of 7, just eyeballing it. Move those chains. Peyton Lucas only had 7 carries and 22 yards last year, but a senior leader on this team listed at 5'10", 185, and that's what the wing T's made to do.
Yeah, it is. You know, you got to read the guard is what they say if you're going to defend against this wing T. Lucas kind of picking his way through the Woodstock defense again and picking up a Sequoyah first down.
See if they can tighten up a little bit here as we get close to the red zone, 21-yard line. Trainer directing a little traffic here, pre-snap. Fakes the fullback. Looking deep, and it was in the hands and dropped. And that was attempted out to number 80, I believe. I have that listed as the tight end, Ty Moores. And unfortunately, it falls harmlessly to the turf, so it'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Moores wide open in the end zone. Great touch by Trainer on that pass. Looks like he let that ball eat him up a little bit. It got into his shoulder pads and bounced right off. And fortunately for Woodstock, it falls harmlessly to the turf.
Hey, it's first game jitters, man. You get out there and you gotta pass in the end zone.
A little bit of deja vu from last year. Amir Morrison with his first touchdown run on the season, a 68-yard scamper. Something very similar we saw last year as we were at Etowah. Trainer, fullback handoff again, runs it to the outside. Once again, that is Peyton Lucas on the handoff. Gain of about 2 there. So it'll bring up a pretty sizable third down for a wing T team. Let's call it 3rd and 7.
Yeah, Lucas, not a whole lot of room that time. Looks like that Woodstock defense had that play read very well. But the Chiefs doing what they do on 2nd down. Let's see if they go back to the air here.
They do have Matthew Trainer, who completed 54% of his passes last year, 700 yards, 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. So a very reliable passer, especially in a wing T offense. And that's what they're going to do, try and bootleg. Carson Gray putting on the pressure, and it's completed out in the flat to Pie scores. And he's got enough for the first down. Move those chains. It'll be stopped at the 9-yard line. And 1st and goal for the Sequoyah Chiefs.
9-yard pass from Matthew Trainer with a little bit of pressure in his face that time. Will able to complete that pass. And credit to the wide receiver out there, Pie scores. With the extra effort to pick up that first down, it'll be 1st and goal for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's hustling right there at the end, man. He's the one that got that first down for him.
A very well-designed play as well. We've seen them bootleg out to the strong side for Trainer. This is another fullback trap. And finally tripped up at the original line of scrimmage. David Salas was the first one to get a hand on him. So Jack Pie scores on the carry and maybe a gain of a yard. Looks like they'll give him to the 8-yard line.
Not a whole lot of running room right there on the right side of the offensive line. Defense Woodstock been stiffening their neck up here deep in their own territory.
It's an old-style offense. Matthew Trainer still runs over to the sideline, gets the call directly from Coach Teeter, as Teeter is a wing T coach. They're going to split 2 wide now, and they're going to go in the shotgun, something we've seen not very often from Sequoyah in their history, a new look for them. And this time it's a quarterback keeper on the read option, and Trainer dives forward, and he is in. Touchdown for Matthew Trainer, and the Sequoyah Chiefs are on the board early. It's 6-0, pending the extra point.
Tell you what, Will, Matthew Trainer showing some of his toughness. Coach Teeter talked about that preseason and in a couple of interviews, man, and right there makes a great move inside and then sticks that helmet down, puts his shoulder down, and that ball popped free, but I believe he crossed or painted the goal. Zakk, what do you see right there?
Yeah, he's stretching out, and I appreciate the effort. Definitely want to protect that ball, though. It's something that they're going to be watching for.
So the extra point is up and good, and that is the kicker. It looks like we'll be doing the kickoff and the extra kicking duties, and that's Joseph Ryan, the senior, as they do have 4 kickers listed. We're going to keep the action right here for you. We've got 8 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the first quarter. 7-0 in favor of Sequoyah. So, Art, after the interception, what do you tell the Woodstock offense to rally here?
Hey, I think you go right back at it. That ball was tipped in the air, Will. It's not I don't think it's an issue where the quarterback made the wrong read. I think the defense, Sequoyah's defense, playing up a little bit. And we knew that Brent Buddy would bring a little bit different look and blitz from a couple different places. So they've got their guys in the right place right now. And, hey, if I'm Woodstock, hey, let's just get right back to our game plan. Nothing changes here.
Yes, sir. Keep your head right. Keep it moving. You'll be just fine. There's plenty of time left in this game.
Especially given how fast Woodstock can move the ball in the spread offense. Now, it's kind of an interesting tale as well because you're going to see Sequoyah, who's going to eat a lot of clock in that wing T offense. As we mentioned, they have to go over to the sideline to get the play call. But you're going to see Woodstock be able to have that big play home run ability as well. One guy that we were looking for is Adonis Garcia. He's back to receive this kick. And he's one of those kids that, watching the tape on him, there's not a lot of tape, but the tape that we saw, especially in the scrimmage against Lassiter, was one that really made you turn your head and just keep an eye on him. He's a guy I have marked to have a big year this year.
Will, you mentioned the big play, the long sustained drives by Sequoyah. That one was a little bit short, all about 2.5 minutes off the clock that time.
Had good field position to start. Garcia's going to try and take it, and there's a little miscommunication, and it's going to be a touchback. It was Hendricks and Adonis Garcia as they got mixed up there, but nonetheless, as long as it's in the end zone in high school, then it's going to be a touchback, so they'll take over at the 20-yard line. We talked about Dan Cuomo, completed 58% of his passes last year, threw for 1,275, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, something they want to clean up. But one of the big questions for Woodstock coming into this was who's the running back. We're going to see Carson Gray. We're going to see Preston Lawrence. So expect to see a little bit different look from this Woodstock team. 4 wide receivers wide here. Gets the snap, and it's going to be a handoff to the aforementioned Lawrence. And he's got a little bit of a hole. Makes Jackson Hancock miss. And finally forced out of bounds, and that's going to be a late hit on Hancock, as it wasn't much of a hit, but a shove out of bounds. So not only can you move those chains, you can move them an additional 15 yards after the 15-yard scamper from Preston Lawrence.
Yeah, it looks like Jackson Hancock wanted to usher him out of bounds a little bit, and as a Woodstock Wolverine student section lets Hancock know, you can't do that when he's out of bounds.
And with that being said, you see that they were running behind Tyler Duthett there, and that's going to be their workhorse up there. I think you're going to see him run to the near side as we are set up here on the Woodstock press box, and they are working from right to left across your radio dial. And they'll mark it off here as it was already a first down run, a very good run by Lawrence, and was able to make a couple people miss in the secondary. Lawrence listed at 6 foot, 180 pounds, going to be a little bit bigger than most of those kids you'll see in the secondary. As working left to right, Ben Sanders, Jackson Hancock, Ridley Joseph, and Bretton Darling, who's making his first start, will be the secondary here.
15-yard carry on that previous play by Lawrence.
This is Carson Gray, and he rumbles forward for a gain of about 3, so 2nd and 7. If Woodstock can start running the ball, Art and Zakk, you have to feel like that's something that will really open up the playbook for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've shown that they can do it so far. It's just depending on if they can keep it up.
We've only seen a handful of plays out of Woodstock so far.
Yeah, but that rushing attack looks like they found something they like.
3 to the far side, 1 to the near. Once again on the Woodstock sideline, our vantage point. Sequoyah showing Rudge off the edge, and they don't. They drop 3 back.
Great protection.
All day to throw, and he completes it out to Hendricks, who tries to make a few people miss, and maybe a gain of a half a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and long here. So they're trying to get the ball out to Hendricks early. He was one guy that Coach Hoff gave us in the early in the week to watch out for here, along with Carson Gray, who's a great linebacking player. So we've seen him rotate in and out of running back with Preston Lawrence. Preston Lawrence also plays in the linebacking core. 4 wide here, 2 to each side. 3 down, showing blitz again. Let's see if they bring it on 3rd. Hancock comes up in the box, and they're going to bring 5. Picked up beautifully by the Wolverines. And way open, and it's caught and carried out to about the 26 is where they'll mark it. Fumbled at the end of that play. That was Brady Williams, the slot receiver, his first start.
Yeah, number 73 on Woodstock picked up a great blitz and kept him out of the quarterback's face, and that's what gave them the first down, I'd say.
That's David Sales, the senior, who also plays defensive line for these guys.
Yeah, great job of the quarterback Como being patient, waiting for Williams to come open. A big drive. Woodstock has got something cooking.
4 wide, 3 to the far side. And this time it's a handoff, and he's going to rumble forward for a gain of about 2. That handoff to Alex Hendricks once again.
Looks about it. Every time that they've run the ball, they've done a tackle trap. So, I mean, that's something to watch out for if you're a coach, something to coach up your players on.
How do you counter that, Zakk?
You can try to cheat over and maybe pick up on the opposite side because, I mean, they're obviously running wherever the tackle's going.
Yeah, and you see that with Duthet, as we mentioned. It's one guy that's going to pick up a lot of stars over his time. Hoff has to run out and take a timeout. And let's take one with him. We'll take 30 seconds, and we'll be back. You're listening to the Cherokee County Game of the Week on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network.
Prescription medications can help us live longer and healthier lives, but any medication has the potential to do harm if misused. Drug-Free Cherokee would like to remind you to only use prescription medications as directed by a health professional. Never share your medications with others or use someone else's. Always store your medications securely to prevent others from taking them, and properly dispose of medications that you no longer need. Be a good example for those around you and promote safe medication practices and teach others to do the same. Visit drugfreecherokee.com.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here at Woodstock High School. Art, I know you're trying to keep stats over there, filling in the hole for Ronnie on the spot. How's it going?
Oh, it's tough. I have a greater appreciation of Ronnie on the spot, but Will, I do have a couple of stats for you.
Get after
that
it.
Sequoyah scoring drive, 2 minutes, 42 seconds, scored, I believe, 37, covered 37 yards, 6 plays, capped off by a 7-yard touchdown run by quarterback Matthew Traynor.
My man, he's been studying Ronnie on the spot out there. We'll call you Ronnie Light. 3 to the far side, 1 to the near side. Talking about wide receivers there. Preston Lawrence fakes the handoff. Cuomo searches and is, wow, it was almost complete out there to Brady Williams, but really, really good coverage. Second hand by Carter Sant out there actually. So Creekview on the board. We want to thank Von Brown for sending us score updates. Creekview with the interception. Mason Hicks completes his first touchdown pass for varsity scoring as it is 7-0.
Well, Grizzlies not wasting any time. That's something I'm sure the fans off of Owen Store Road are happy to see the Grizzlies offense putting some points on the board, Will.
You're right about that. Something we talked about throughout the season is we always update you guys on the other games around the county. So make sure if we're not covering your team, we'll still have score updates throughout the night. 2 to each side. They're going to send Hendricks in motion this time. Cuomo gets the snap, fakes the handoff to Lawrence, searches deep, another blitz picked up, and should have been intercepted just over the hands of number 34, Rowan Steele. Falls harmlessly to the turf. That was another pass intended for Brady Williams.
Yeah, it looks like Steele had a chance to get his hands on it. Also, Bretton Darling in the vicinity. Como very fortunate to get that one back as it sets up a...
It's going to be a field goal attempt here as Kristen Colina is going to be the kicker.
41-yarder, Will, if my math serves me correct.
That is correct, right at 31. Kick. It's going to be from the near hash or the left hash, depending on your vantage point. Colina did the kicking duties last year as well. Snap is good. The hold is good. It's low and lined, and it is no good. Wide right, and Woodstock comes away with nothing. So Sequoyah will take over on downs. We'll keep the action right here for you as Sequoyah is set to take over at the 31-yard line. And it's kind of interesting here. We normally don't see 7A schools play a lot of players both ways, but it looks like Woodstock right now is trotting out a lot of guys to both sides, especially in the linebacker corps.
Yeah, their numbers look like they're a little bit down, Will. I know when you have a new head coach coming in, he's got to kind of shake those trees out in the hallway to try to get those numbers up. But, look, it looks like Woodstock is playing an exciting brand of basketball. I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 2 or 3 seasons these guys have the numbers they need.
Playing basketball.
I'm sure they do play basketball.
I'm sure some of them do.
But maybe bring in some of those basketball players. A little off-season work, you know?
Nick Rule, the high safety for Woodstock, he's really kind of the center fielder out there. Got to be pretty lateral. As we mentioned, they run a 3-5-3, and that's one of those things that's really kind of odd for a team. We've never seen that. We've seen 3-3 stacks, 3-4s, and even Creekview back in the day ran a 3-3-5. But it's definitely different to see a 3-5-3. And if you don't know what we're talking about, the first number is down linemen, second is linebackers. And this is a pitch outside by Hancock, and he's going to carry it for about a first down, was tripped out, and finally a gain of about 12 out there. Move those chains. Jackson Hancock is really a difference maker for this Sequoyah Chiefs team here early.
Very early on, we've seen Hancock active on the offense and defensive side of the ball. Zakk, man, how's that small Sequoyah offensive line holding up right now?
I mean, I'm pretty impressed. They're collapsing really well, keeping the ball moving, opening up just enough of a hole to let their running backs through. I'm impressed.
River Ridge fumbles, and Lassiter scores at 7-7 over there at Woodstock, just down the road. And this time it's a handoff, and it's going to be a gain of about 1. Don't know how. He was hitting the backfield immediately. That's Jack Peiskers on the carry. Should have been a loss of about 3, but instead a gain of 1. A very key play for a wing T team is not to get stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, number 41 there, he had 2 guys on him, and he blew up the play back there. And like you said, I'm amazed that they even got a yard out of that.
Yeah, Sequoyah cannot afford to get behind the chains here on under that wing T.
That senior Drew Hawkins had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss last year. As the sun sets behind the trees finally, so a little bit of relief here at the Woodshed as lots of fans still piling in here. This is another handoff to Peiskers. Finds a hole and met hard by Nick Rule, but a gain of about 5, and he'll set up 3rd and short, which is really key for a wing T offense, guys. And this Woodstock defense right now really flying around doing a pretty good job. It just seems like that these Sequoyah running backs are able to find holes as the play develops.
Yeah, they are, Will. They're just very patient back there, picking their way through the defense again. But a big hit sets up a 3rd and 3. So let's see what the Chiefs do. They keep it on the ground, or they dare go to the air this time.
Woodstock showing 5 pressure, and that's how many they're going to bring. Hancock working his way, spins off a man, fighting forward close to midfield. Finally wrapped up out there in space by Brady Williams and Alex Hendricks. But that is enough for a first down. Move those chains. Sequoyah taking a lot of time off the clock as well. Our score here 7-0 with 4:46 left to play in the first quarter.
Yeah, Will, Sequoyah doing what they do on this drive. Look, they had to start at their own 20, so very, very methodical drive here by the Chiefs.
2 wide this time. Shotgun formation once again. And it's a handoff, but this time it's going to be kept by Peyton Lucas. Falls forward for a gain of about 3. Good enough to get into Wolverine territory.
Nothing surprising here right now for Sequoyah. A little bit of trap action there on that one, but let's see if they mix it up. Almost looks like a good time for play-action pass right here if I was reaching down and deep in the James Teeter playbook.
They have Cameron Massey, the junior, lined up as his first start. You'll also see Josh Price come in and out as they lost a lot of depth at receiver with Baylor Borden.
Here you go. Here's your pass.
This time it's flung out, and just a bad throw out there, a little too far from the outstretched hands of Jack Peiskers, and it'll bring up 3rd and long, which is somewhere that if that pass doesn't work, you put yourself in a bad spot.
Well, I tell you what, Coach Teeter making me look like a genius as they go play action. I thought Ty Moores trainer had Ty Moores running the seam down the middle of the field, but he tried to flare out, sets up 3rd and long, like you said, Will.
They'll set up back in the shotgun formation, it looks like. So we're seeing a little bit of shotgun, which is a new look for Sequoyah, as we mentioned, maybe a little bit of Brent Buddy influence, as they are well-respected coaches over there. Fakes the handoff once again and fires it out wide and through the hands of number 83, Ashkin Hunt, the senior. Listed at 5'10", really needed to be about 6 foot to catch that one. It was a little high, but still got a hand on it. If you got a hand on it, you got to catch it.
Yeah, that's like our old men used to say. Well, our fathers said, if you get your fingertips on that ball, you got to catch it. Nevertheless, it falls to the turf. Sequoyah will force to punt, and let's see if Woodstock can – Sequoyah's going to flip the field here. We'll see if Woodstock can get a return off.
Nick Rule, the back man. It looks like number 20 out to punt for Sequoyah. And that is who I have listed as Ben Sanders, also plays wide receiver and defensive back. Snap is back. It's good. Bobbled a little bit, but a pretty good punt, end over end. And Nick Rule's going to let this one bounce. It bounced about the 20 and takes a Woodstock bounce. And finally, the Chiefs fall on it at the 24-yard line. So that's where the Wolverines will set up shop. We'll keep the action right here for you, as we're ready to see this Troy Hopp offense come out for a 3rd time in this game with 3:44 left to go in the first. Sequoyah 7 and Woodstock 0. Guys, we saw an early turnover, and then we saw a missed field goal. So they have no problem moving the ball, as we saw in that last drive. But what do you have to do to punch it in the end zone when you're a little bit smaller than your opponent?
I think you got to take advantage of every opportunity. It looked like Como missed a couple of receivers a couple of times that really stalled that drive out. And then even when you get deep in that territory, you got to find a way to put points on the board.
They found a lot of success running the ball, which is something I wouldn't have expected coming in early to this game. They have a tight end here in the formation, and it's going to be a handoff to Hendricks, and Hendricks going to be met right at the line, but fights forward for a gain of about 2. The tight end that came in for that play was number 35 for Woodstock. Excuse me, number 32, that's Cam Smith. So seeing a little different guys rotate in and out. We'll also see Benji Shackelford, another linebacker. His brother Josh was a kid that graduated, played on the offensive line last year. So you're going to see a few different looks and a couple of familiar names for Woodstock.
Yeah, the Wolverines trying to find some consistency there in that run game here as we in the early goings.
Lawrence sends Benji again in motion and then back to the other side where he started and fakes it back and then works his way out to the outside. High snap handled, and it set up a screen again. That was complete out to Adonis Garcia, and it would have been better just to drop it as he lost about 2 on the completion. And Woodstock is having a really hard time completing that screen because Sequoyah keeps jumping that route.
Yeah, they've obviously been in the film room, spent a lot of time watching film.
Ridley Joseph jumping the route again over there for Sequoyah. Like you said, Zach, they've spent a lot of time in the film room, and it shows they're all over those short passing routes.
Really good job by this Sequoyah defensive line here in the early going with Harrison Hood and Avery Bourne, as you mentioned. Brady Curl, a couple of snaps. Fakes the handoff here. Cuomo works outside, has a little bit of room to run, going to throw it across his body, and did he catch that? Nick Rule caught it. What a, they're going to rule it incomplete. The back judge did. Jackson Hancock on coverage, 2 on 2, as both of them are number 2. Woodstock confused about what happened. Coach Hoff unhappy with the call. It'll bring up 4th and 8, and an obvious punting situation for Woodstock as they are at the 31-yard line.
Heck of an effort by Rule out there to lay out for that ball. From our vantage point, we were shielded so we can't see. Looks like Hancock was doing a little politicking for that call, and it goes his way this time.
Yeah, I like the effort, man. He was going to run and decided to tuck it and throw it because he's got 9 yards to make the first down. So I like the decision-making.
I lied earlier in the broadcast. A cloud had covered the sun and looked like it was the trees, but we are getting a couple minutes of a suntan here as the clock winds down at 7:55. And a low snap but handled, and Woodstock gets the punt off, their first punt of the game, as Matthew Traynor is the back man. Makes a man miss. Look out. He's got some wheels. Stiff arms a man. 40. 30, flag comes in. It's going to be a block in the back, so they'll have to bring this one all the way back to probably going to be the 45-yard line, a spot of the foul call. But nonetheless, Traynor is a dangerous athlete.
We saw Traynor play quarterback last season. We saw him play safety last season. You got your starter play returning punts. I don't know if that's completely advisable on every punt, Zach, but tell us about this block in the back, man. Is that even necessary right there?
No, it really wasn't. It was kind of away from where he was. He was going out of bounds anyway. Should have just left him alone.
A little bit of discussion here as they're trying to figure out the yardage, I believe. There may be 2 flags since we've got 2 on the field. So we'll just have to wait here and see what we got going on. But we do want to thank you all for being with us on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. 2 minutes and 4 seconds left in the first quarter with Sequoyah and Woodstock locked in battle, 7-0. And they are marking it off here, so we'll give you the official spot where they'll start this drive. And it looks like it will be in Woodstock territory. And block in the back is the call.
Still good field position, though.
Interesting thing to note here at Woodstock, as the officials actually have a microphone, which is a a Cherokee County original. I was going to say Creekview up over Etowah 7-0 still. Lassiter and River Ridge 7-7 as we are in the first quarter here. I want to thank you guys for being with us. We know you have a lot of options for Friday night entertainment. We're glad that you're with us. Fakes the fullback trap, looks like a keeper and maybe a pitch option, but not now, as Traynor is met by Carson Gray. Talk about 2 future players who are really good. It's going to be a gain of about 2, 2nd and 8. So we're seeing a little bit of different looks from the wing tee. Running that speed option outside is not something you would normally see from a wing tee team.
No, it's not, and really no blocking on the edge right there. Sequoyah not able to set the table for Traynor to find a lane, so Woodstock does a great job of stringing that out, and like you mentioned, Gray with a very tough tackle over there on Traynor.
Yeah, I saw number 74 and somebody else down there 10 yards. They got to find somebody to pick up, and I think that's why that play kind of failed.
We'll talk about the offensive line here as a great tackle by Preston Lawrence as he was on the ground, reached back and grabbed the ball carrier, and I believe that was Peyton Lucas on the carry as it was. Still a pretty good gain. Let's call it 3rd and 5 here for Wing T. See if they decide to do a passing situation or if they want to keep it on the ground. And
I'd keep it on the ground, personally.
Zach,
I think they've been doing pretty well.
To go back to what you were mentioning, Zakk Barrett, a very young offensive line, has only 1 starter returns. That's Marshall Catchum, the left tackle. And they are going to run to the right side here. Pretty good blocking downfield. Look out. 30, 25, 20. and finally forced out of bounds by Nick Rule and Michael Preaser as he makes his first start. But a great carry for Jack Piescores on the outside. Move those chains. It sets up a 1st and goal.
Hey, going back to what I said earlier, we had a hat-on-hat from every offensive lineman, and that's exactly why that play worked so well.
Piescore scampering a 34-yard carry, 1st down and goal at the 6-yard line. The Chiefs are back in business. One thing to note, Will, the first scoring drive, they started in Woodstock territory. This one, they started in Woodstock territory. Let's see if they can punch it in right here.
Have to start with good field position as the clock may wind down here. We got about another play after this one. As 38 seconds, the current showing on the board with the clock running. Different formation here as there's only 2 men in the backfield for the wing T, and it's a handoff to Hancock. And Hancock looks like he's not going to be able to get there as number 70 tried to set the edge out there, Teo Oglunde, the 5'10", 190-pound guard. We were talking before the game, guys, this Sequoyah offensive line isn't very big, but they're going to have to be athletic to be able to beat some of these bigger teams.
Yeah, Gundele, not the biggest guy out there. The Sequoyah goes with those smaller athletic guards. They can pull and run around, and they're going to have their work cut out for them as the first quarter winds down here, Will.
That'll take us to the second quarter, and we'll take a timeout with them. Let's take a 1-minute break. You're listening to the Tri-State Communications Sports Network on 101.1 FM WLJA.
It's football time, and Brian Aaron at Woodstock Outlet has some great news for all the football fans.
Hey, y'all, we are glad to be a sponsor for these games and have a great time. Stay safe out there, and we just really do love being part of our community. And thankful we got the best customers a business could possibly have. And we built a new warehouse. We got it full for the pickup or delivery, so we're ready to go. Y'all come see us, and we sure do appreciate you.
When you are the official sponsor of the comeback, adding a few feet to a drive matters. First down. So does shaving 1/10 of a second off a lap. Top-rated surgery, physical therapy, and motion analysis by the sports medicine team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta helps young athletes not only prevent injuries, but heal faster and return stronger, ready to win. Our more than 25 orthopedic and sports medicine locations are ready to assist your athlete's comeback. To learn more, visit choa.org/sportsmed.
You're listening to WLJA FM 101.1 and WLJA HD1 Ellijay, Jasper, Canton, Woodstock, and all of North Georgia.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here at Woodstock High School, I suppose I should say, as we are set for the second quarter of action where Sequoyah will take over 2nd and goal from the 4. And Sequoyah is up in this one 7-0. I want to thank you guys for being with us. I'm Will Cooper, joined alongside Zakk Gross, our stand-in color man, doing a great job so far, and Arthur Mosley, the seasoned veteran, with me as well. I formation, handoff to Piescores, and he's going to work his way for an easy touchdown.
Great block. Yeah, just pushed him straight in. I don't think he even got touched until he crossed the goal line.
So that's 2 rushing touchdowns, one for Trainer, and then another one for Piescores. Piescores had a touchdown last year on 37 carries and 118 yards as we are waiting for the extra point.
That touchdown set up by that great return by Matthew Trainer, some of that negated by the block in the back. Piescores hitting Paydort. He also set it up with that long 34-yard run earlier in the drive.
Snap is good, hold is good, the kick is up, and it is through. A pretty kick.
I blocked it, though.
We're talking about Sequoyah. You know, last year they had Steven Zarita, who was arguably the best kicker in the county. Maybe an argument for Carson Allen could be made, as they were both pretty automatic from anywhere within 40 and even sometimes 50. But they're having to replace him with Joseph Ryan, who so far has done a pretty good job.
Done a great job, 2 for 2 with the extra points. Sequoyah special teams looks like they haven't missed a beat. And Zarita, a phenomenal weapon for the Chiefs last year. Looks like Coach Teeter's found a weapon. Also looks like the Chiefs have really got it going in that running game.
Yeah, hey, you know what? It's still early. And even though they're down by 2 touchdowns, I think Woodstock here can get things moving.
I think you're exactly right. As we mentioned, we're playing 2 different styles of football here. It's like old school and new school meet in this middle ground where we have a young coach and then an older coach in James Teeter. And we also have the spread offense going against the wing tee and these new styles. So it's really interesting to watch. And I think for Woodstock, the key is to stay calm, realize that you have time, because you don't want to get too far behind on a wing tee team because they can just bleed the clock. But we're only just a little bit into this. We're 3 seconds into the second quarter.
Talking about bleeding clock, Will, that drive took a whole 2 minutes and 7 seconds, 5-play drive for Sequoyah. to march down the field.
So Sequoyah not doing their typical bleeding the clock, moving the ball pretty effectively. Of course, both those drives they've scored on have started within Woodstock Wolverine territory, as the kick is up here, and it's just going to bounce in front of Adonis, and he'll have to let this one go out of the back, as Preston Lawrence and Dan Cuomo will come back out and lead the team. Preston Lawrence was the quarterback for the first few games last year, and then they tried out a few different people. Peyton Lynch came in, threw a few passes, and then Cuomo was the one that ended up winning the job. As we mentioned last year, 10 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Not very big, listed at 5'10", 160. They may be adding a couple extra inches on him. He might be about 5'8" like me. But nonetheless, a very accurate passer and somebody that has seemed to improve as the camp went on here, as they are once again in the spread, 3 wide, 1 to the top. And it looked like a miscommunication there from the get-go, as the running back wanted the ball, tried to grab it out of Lawrence's hand, and on the RPO. And then the newcomer, Adonis Garcia, was running an in and looked like he needed to run an out there, and they'll discuss that and iron that one out. Worth noting, this is Coach Hoff's first official Friday night game, so there's going to be a few kinks they're going to have to work out throughout the season.
Yeah, there are, but not his first game as a head coach, his first game here at Woodstock. But like you said, Will, probably some little jitters and wrinkles they've got to iron out here.
Trips to the bottom, one high top, that's Adonis. And it's a setup screen to Hendricks once again. Got some good blocking downfield now. Look out, makes a man miss. Finally wrapped up by Hancock, and he'll be forced close to out of bounds, but it's going to be all the way up to the 48-yard line. Move those chains. Woodstock just about into Chiefs territory, the type of play that Woodstock really needed.
Yeah, that was the perfect play. There was a blitz off the left side, and they threw the ball back to the right, and, it worked out really well for them. So.
Absolute gold from Zakk Gross right now.
Identifying blitzes,
blocks.
He is bringing it.
Dave Garner has officially lost his job.
You hear that, Dave?
2 wide to each side of the formation. That's Lawrence in motion. He'll be joined out here, and they're going to try and set up another screen. Fake it, looking deep, got a man open, and he just overthrows him. Good coverage there by Sequoyah. Jackson Hancock went over and rolled over to Brady Williams and left the Preston Lawrence all alone out there, but unfortunately was just a little too tall for him, and it'll fall harmlessly to the turf, set up 2nd and 10.
Tell you what, Como's really showing his arm strength here, throwing that ball all over the field. Had plenty of time, so great job by that Woodstock front 5 and whatever blocking scheme they're using. And Zakk will probably break it down in a minute, man.
Well, they're only bringing 3. That time they all dropped back, and that's why the coverage was so good. But if they can give him that much time, you need to tell him to calm down. Just take his time.
Lawrence takes the handoff, runs it out to the left side behind Duthick. Going to work out to about the 40, right at the first down marker, about a yard there. Move those chains, enough for a first down as the Wolverines not back-to-back, one play in between, excuse me. Within 3 plays, 2 first downs as they work their way into Chiefs territory for the first time tonight, guys.
It looks like the Wolverines have something cooking. Look, 28 yards on that pass play. Now they come back with a 10-yarder. Wolverines are in business, Will.
We've got Art Mosley over there on the stats. 28-yard scamper there as they'll split 4 wide once again. We see Tyler Duthick out there, 6'5", 270. We're going to talk a lot about him. He's featured in Enjoy Cherokee magazine, so make sure you pick up a copy of the September-October edition. He's joined in the backfield by Carson Gray this time.
No
looking
blitz.
Deep. And it's Adonis Garcia way out there, and it's too high and can't complete it. And that is another throw that just a little bit too high. We see maybe Cuomo's a little fired up right now. If he can just settle down, he's got these receivers open. A good try by Adonis out there on the sideline, but instead it'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, like I said, they only brought 3, and he's got great protection. And I think a coaching point would be, hey, just calm down, go through your progressions. I think he's kind of tunneling one person, and I think that's kind of biting him in the end.
Garcia had his hands on that ball again. Was a little high, like you mentioned, Will, but looked like one he probably wishes he had back. Yeah,
hands on it, though.
Right about that. Same formation as last time. And there's a timeout this time coming from Hoff. That's their second of the quarter, second of the half, I believe. Yeah. Maybe even their third, but I believe it's the second.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a timeout with them, guys? Let's take a 30-second break. When we come back, the sun is finally set here. We're going to dry the sweat from our eyes and bring you another quarter of action here on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network on WLJA 101.1 FM.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Canton. They've found the best used cars and trucks to fill their lot. Hundreds to choose from. Just go to SchottenKirkChrysler.com and do a search. Then come by and test drive your choice or buy online. Schottenkirk is proud to call Cherokee County home and are happy to be the dealer with a fully stocked lot of cars and trucks. Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off Riverstone Parkway in Canton at 200 Liberty Boulevard.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here at Woodstock High School. The score 14-0 in favor of the Chiefs, but Woodstock got something cooking here as the long sustained drive that started at the 20-yard line on a touchback is all the way out to the Sequoyah 42. So knocking on the door here as Lawrence has 4 wide receivers and a running back with him in the shotgun. Woodstock always starting someone in motion here. And they're going to hand it off to Hendricks. He's got a little bit of a hole, makes a man miss. What a move by Hendricks. Good blocking downfield right at the first down marker and drug out. It's going to be close to the first down. Let's see if they mark it.
Yeah, that was all effort by Hendricks right there.
Really good job by him being able to juke some people out on the line as they're trying to fix the chains here. As he was tackled right on the chain marker, probably got taken out in the tackle.
You know, when I was in high school, I went out of bounds with somebody and broke one of those.
And it is enough, so move those chains enough for a first down.
Hendricks showing a little wiggle right there, breaking free. They pick up that first down. Woodstock on the move.
Not to be confused with Jacorian Wiggles out there. Jacorian Wiggles, one of the receivers we saw at Mays. Good luck to the Raiders throughout the rest of their season. So we saw them play Cherokee. 3 to the near side here. Fakes the handoff to Lawrence, looking over the middle and completed out there. Looked like it might be overthrown, but it was a really good pass to Miles Barnwell. And a gain of about 9. So Woodstock being able to complete a few passes here now, maybe getting a little bit of a roll, running and passing.
Yeah, looking like they're settling down a little bit and got those first couple drives, got the jitters out. Time to play ball, you know.
This has been a very competitive series throughout the years. We mentioned, Woodstock leads this series 5-4, but they have won the last 4. So you got to feel like Sequoyah maybe a little bit of chip of their shoulder because they have played for the last 3 seasons in a row. So coming into this one, and obviously last year lost 41-35 to the Wolverines, thanks basically to David Daniel on a return. As they'll load up 3, that's Lawrence who's going to line up in the slot. And this time it's a handoff, and it's going to be right at the first down marker. It'll be enough for a first, so move those chains. That was a handoff. We've seen about 4 different running backs for Woodstock. Yeah. That's Michael Preeser, who also plays corner. So we're seeing a lot of 2-8 players, but nonetheless move those chains as we're seeing a group of new Wolverines come in, as we're seeing some fresh legs keep rotating in and out.
Well, we mentioned that they don't have a lot of numbers on the sideline, but doing a good job of keeping the guys they do have fresh. Remember, Will, this drive started at the Woodstock, their own 20-yard line. So Woodstock really moving the ball this time.
A nice sustained drive here. As we mentioned, Sequoyah plays a 3-4, only bringing 3, as Zakk pointed out, on passing situations, and they do it again as Woodstock looking deep. Improvisation by Cuomo, and Harrison Hood gets to him, and he's going to have to fire this one out of bounds. Was outside the tackle box, so no intentional grounding. A good pursuit out there by Hood.
Yeah, Harrison Hood.
And they are going to throw a intentional grounding flag here late.
Did he not make it?
I thought he was close to the tackle box there, but
yeah, I thought he was just out. But that's all right. I understand where they're coming from.
So it will be basically a sack. How a intentional grounding works is the only thing it does is it's because there was no receiver in the area. It seems to be the answer.
That makes sense.
As Troy Hoff was also confused.
It looked like, I don't know, Hood had his hands around him. He might have influenced that errant pass, but Coach Hoff complimenting the referee on his hat tonight down there on the sidelines.
Fresh white, nice and clean. Love it.
Wondering where he got all the Clorox from.
Like we said, Coach Hoff not happy about the call.
So there'll be a discussion. The good news is it is taking place over here near the Woodstock sideline, so that tends to lend itself to a little bit of politicking, for lack of a better term. And they'll rush in a new group of Wolverines, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh,
all over the place.
If Coach Shaw is listening, we might hear about that.
Hey, it's a fresh season. We're getting right back into it.
Hey, let's talk for a second.
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to Coach Shaw this afternoon, and he was talking about they run that tunnel screen, right? Just like we saw Woodstock try to fake the screen.
Right.
And when they ran that fake and Mays was burned all over it, I told him, I said, that was a really good thing there. And he said, we know we showed it enough that we were going to be able to do it on the first try. And Woodstock, you got to feel like that fake screen for them is going to be a big play all year.
At some point, so they're going to get somebody who's
over the wheel.
Yeah. On the offense. So intentional grounding is the official call. So intentional grounding is basically a sack. The only thing it does is take the sack off of the player's stat sheet. So a defensive player's least favorite penalty on the offense has to be an intentional grounding.
Yeah, so. I want those stats, man. I want the stats.
So it's also a 5-yard penalty. Looks like from the spot of the pass as well. Woodstock back way up, all the way back to
41.
Sequoyah 36. 6-yard line, excuse me.
Quick math there, excuse me. Obviously not my forte. You're right. It's going to be second and forever. They have it marked as second and 24 with ball on the 36-yard line, but it is way back there.
As we mentioned, Sequoyah leads here 14-0 with 9:45 left on the clock here on a beautiful Georgia sunset tonight.
It is finally behind the trees. I'm sure about it this time. Woodstock, really a beautiful campus, you know, and it's something that we talk about being right here on Town Lake, all the action you get with Woodstock and Etowah, and the Sequoyah fans have traveled out. How good is it to see full stands, guys? I mean, last year it was so difficult, you know, I know for everyone, and things, we're not out of the woods yet for sure, but it sure is nice to see all the kids out, the student sections out, and everybody being back to a little bit of normalcy, and the bands as well.
Yeah, you mentioned, Will, full stands. Great to have the band in here as we turn it back over to you for this 3rd down and 24.
Thank you, Art. They're going to set up a screen to Garcia, and he gained a couple of yards, but a really good tackle out there by Isaiah Sanders, the senior who had 8 tackles last year, brother of Ben Sanders on the team as well. So a couple of really talented guys. And here is really no man's land. What do you do here as you're 4th and about 21, probably too close to punt, too far for a kick?
Maybe you might see a pooch punt here. Looks like they're bringing in the special teams unit. Coach Hoff going to pin Sequoyah deep. They have not shown they've been able to go the length of the field now. They've again, Sequoyah's only had 3 drives. The one they started from the 20, they ended up in a punt. So we'll see if there's a little trickeration coming up.
A little Larry Prather trickeration as Creekview is up 21-0 over Etowah at the end of the first quarter. So Creekview putting it down early. Low snap, but handled here. And that is exactly right, a corner kick. And it's going to be close. Oh, what a beautiful punt.
At the 2-yard line.
Holy cow, you couldn't have drawn it up any better.
Couldn't have dropped it down there. That was a beautiful punt there by number 40.
That's Kalina.
Kalina pinning the Chiefs deep. We'll see what Sequoyah has. They've got 98 yards to go. And remember this, Will, 8:46 on the clock. If a 98-yard, 8-minute, 46-second drive is not out of the realm of possibility for Sequoyah.
Well, I also think the bonus there is that this Woodstock defense, although they do have a lot of players playing 2 ways, they've had a little bit of time to rest and rotate in and out. So that should benefit Woodstock here. Of course, the field position does as well. So Sequoyah coming out, got to be real careful here. No negative plays can be allowed as they are set on the 2-yard line with 98 yards to go. 8 minutes and 40 seconds left on the board. As you were mentioning, Art, Sequoyah up 14-0. It's a handoff this time and met at the line of scrimmage, but finally going to be out at about, say, a gain of about 2 out to the 4-yard line. A little extracurricular activities there, but no flags being thrown. As we mentioned, these teams don't necessarily like each other. They have played a fair bit. And, of course, anytime you see a Cherokee County team playing another Cherokee County team, you're going to get a little bit of hype.
Yeah, a little bit of hype, like you said, Will. 3-yard carry there by Pice scores as Sequoyah trying to get out of the shadow of their own end zone. But
if I'm Woodstock, I'm bringing pressure. I mean, they're backed up. You want to keep them behind the chains as best you can.
No wide receivers in the formation as Jackson Hancock makes a couple of guys miss. Finally wrapped up by Hendricks working both sides. That's going to be a gain real close to the first down, short by about a yard, so 3rd and 1. And that's right in the wing T wheelhouse. And you have to feel like that if they don't get it on this one, they may be crazy enough to go for it.
Yeah, and honestly, the way they just ran the ball those 2 times, I mean, I'd be going for it on 4th now.
Yeah, very 3rd down and just under a yard here for the Chiefs. Let's see if Woodstock can hold here and flip the field position.
Woodstock very talented and a lot of speed, but not so much size on the inside, as we see. And he's met in the backfield. Great job by Woodstock, as that was Pice scores on the attempted carry out there. A loss of about 2, so it brings up 4th and 3. That makes things interesting. If you don't get it here, and they're going to bring out the punt team, so that answers it. We've got an injured Chief on the field. We'll try and get a number for you. It's an offensive
like one of those big tackles down there for Sequoyah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, bringing pressure. Woodstock brought some pressure off the edge there, and the defensive line shifted right at the last second and I think messed up the blocking scheme and blew it up.
I believe that's left tackle, number 76, Marshall Ketchum, 6'3", 250-pound senior, being attended to by the training staff here.
You know, he only got to play about half the season last year due to an injury, and was also one of those guys that is the only returning starter from last season. So a big part of that Sequoyah offensive line. Hopefully just a cramp, and he is to his feet here. A big guy, as you mentioned, 6'3", 250. And 250 maybe before they took the trip through the McDonald's drive-thru and they got here. He's every bit of 250.
Happy to see him walking off, though.
Yeah, under his own power. So
exactly.
like you said, Zakk, happy to see him walking off. And when we return to action, it'll be 4th down and 3 from Sequoyah deep in their own territory.
And you have to like what you've seen from the Woodstock defense here in the second going. It was one of those things we mentioned. You know, they have a lot of linebacking depth, but not so much defensive line depth. And what it seems like they're doing is waiting for the gaps to open and then plugging them with those fast linebackers. And it's up to the Sequoyah backs to be able to shake a tackle or two or be able to put the hit stick on somebody and get out and outside, because we've seen them be able to do that, as Zakk mentioned, with the tackle setting the edge out there. But they are going to have to punt. And it looks like that this time it'll be number 88 punting. So Joseph Ryan is going to do all the kicking duties. We've seen him extra points. We've seen him on kickoffs, and now we're seeing him punt. Back deep is Nick Rule for Woodstock, the senior. His first official game. He had a couple of games last year but didn't get any stats to go along with it. Definitely his first start. This is a spiraled kick. He's going to put his hand up over his head and caught right at the 50-yard line. Had a lot of room to return if he wanted to, but instead they'll set up the offense just inside the Sequoyah territory.
Well, and I think his coach just told him that there, like, hey, you've got some room. Just take a quick look before you throw your hand up.
He's had, I don't think there was a Sequoyah Chief within 15 yards. Looks like they kind of, nevertheless, he makes a fair catch, and Woodstock going to start this drive in Sequoyah territory.
Nick Rule is one of the best athletes on the team. Not surprising they have him back on the punt team there, as we were talking about Rule. One of those guys we were looking forward to seeing. A lot of Woodstock new bloods at wide receiver as they lost the likes of Hudson Burns, Sebastian Moss, and David Daniel, of course, at Georgia now. So a lot of new faces out there on the outside of the formation. This time it's a handoff to Lawrence out the left-hand side, and he's going to be almost wrapped up, but fights forward for a gain of about a yard. Jackson Hancock almost had him dead to rights in the backfield, but instead fights forward for a gain of 1. 2nd and 9 set up for the Wolverines.
Preston Lawrence making chicken salad out of chicken poo right there. I mean, really almost stopped in the backfield, and he finds a way to get a 1-yard gain out of that.
Almost as good as a Larryism is an artism.
I'm
Almost as good.
I'm working on it.
I know you two have been communicating ever since the preseason show kicked off, and he told you got to keep me on my toes. It's been no stop.
Hey, shout out to the legend Larry Prather.
Ooh, this is a swing out to Preston Lawrence, and it falls harmlessly to the turf right in the breadbasket. And really a good thing he didn't catch it, as number 34, Rowan Steele, was coming up and getting ready to lay the lumber, but instead 3rd and 9 here.
3rd down and long for Woodstock. We haven't seen them go down the field. We saw that they had something cooking in that passing game on the last drive. Now a short run gain and incompletion. They've got to convert right here.
Seeing Brady Curl out there, the nose tackle for this game. He's 6'2" and 260 pounds. He's a sophomore. A lot of sophomores on the Sequoyah team here on defense. A lot of first-year starters. As Harrison Hood comes up, and Cuomo's going to try and keep it. Lays the lumber. A hard hit out there. Cuomo tried to run over Carter Sant. That didn't work, though. Carter Sant, 5'11", 165. Cuomo, 5'10", 160. And they gain about 5. It'll bring up 4th and about 3, 4th and 4 here. But they're going to run the punt team out.
The best part about football right there, by the way. Love to see the pads popping.
Como, like you said, pads popping, not afraid to stick his nose in there and deliver a blow himself.
So punt formation back. Kalina, the punter, once again had as good of a punt as you'll ever see, pinning him back on the 2, and
much
it worked.
Better snap.
Much better snap and a pretty good pick, as Matthew Trainer is going to let this one die right in front of him, and it's going to take a Woodstock bounce. Ooh. Trainer tried to pick it up and was met immediately.
That's a coaching point right there. You want to tell him, hey, that ball's already down. Don't jump on it like that.
Jack Hodges, the senior wide receiver, was the one that made the tackle on the punt there. Not a starter, but special teamer. As we see the Sequoyah Chiefs offense come back out on the field here with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left to play. Once again, Sequoyah up 14-0. Thank you for being with us here on WLJA 101.1 FM. Your home for Cherokee County football, Georgia football, Braves baseball as well. The Braves are set to get started here, and we will update you on that score throughout the night as well. The Woodstock faithful getting hyped up thanks to the principal on the big board. As Sequoyah comes back out here, this time a wide receiver and a tight end in their wing T formation. Fullback trap. High scores, met immediately and met again. Tackle will be given to Ryan Burke out there, the first time we've called his name. One of these hybrid players, outside linebacker, safety type guys who play in the 3-5.
Yeah, it gives you a different look every time to these Woodstock Wolverines. And right now, it looks like early Sequoyah had him guessing. Looks like Coach Hoffman, his defensive coordinator, really has the defense dialed in on stopping that inside trap.
You're right about that. Same formation as last time. Lots of weight on the offensive line there, and the defensive line just going to try and shoot the gaps. As Hendricks getting bullied there, and Trainer's going to pull it and run. 20, look out, he's off to the races. One man to beat, and he's finally drugged down by Preston Lawrence all the way across midfield. So move those chains, a huge gain. As Sequoyah is showing that your athletes are not as good as my athletes. As Trainer works it out there, it's interesting to watch Preston Lawrence, the former quarterback, making the tackle on Matthew Trainer, the former safety who's now playing quarterback. A little bit of irony in that one for sure, as Sequoyah's got something working here into Woodstock territory.
41-yard scamper by Matthew Trainer. He pulls it down and shows the wheels, and a little bit of escapability right there for Trainer. The Chiefs really have flipped the field on that one play.
Sideline warning on Sequoyah there. No yardage tacked on for the first one. After that, it's a unsportsmanlike conduct. Now Layton moving those chains, so Trainer's going to have to wait as he's in the shotgun now. Two wide receivers. It's interesting formation in the shotgun, only two wide. And this time it's a handoff working on the inside of the tackle in the guard from right.
A great kick out by number 70 there. I know we were talking about him being a little undersized earlier, but great kick out block. Opened up that hole for him.
That's Ogundley, I believe is how you say his name. 5'10", 190, as you mentioned. Very undersized on the paper, but plays a little bit bigger than that and faster in a wing T team. That's what you need, as that was a carry by Peyton Lucas out there. Gain of about 5. Set up 2nd and 5.
Good to see Marshall Ketchum back on the field, number 76, who hobbled off in that last series for the Chiefs.
Good call, Art. Shotgun once again. Wide receiver to each side of the formation. Trainer going to keep it this time, in a really good tackle out there in space. Get a number on that for you, number 35. Benji Shackelford, as we mentioned, playing running back a little bit. Makes it a gain of 1. So 3rd and 5 now on this one as well.
Yeah, that right end over there collapsed that play and really stopped it in the backfield.
Yeah, Benji Shackelford working that side. Ryan Burke and Tate Washington, the sophomore, getting his first start at defensive end as well. We'll see Cam Smith rotate in and out of that spot, as David Sales, who also plays guard, as the nose tackle for that Woodstock defense. As we see Woodstock approaching the line, bringing blitz at the last minute, and a screen that was set up beautifully, but it's going to be incomplete. The pass intended out to Cameron Massey. So 4th and 5 here, and you would think they'll probably have to punt, but we'll see what they do here.
Clock here approaching 3 minutes, Will. Don't know if Coach Teeter wants to give Woodstock that great field position. As they've shown, they've gotten a lot of, Woodstock that is, has gotten a lot of confidence. Probably don't want to give them a short field right here.
Offense is going to stay on the field, maybe try an ADO, as the legendary Larry Prather would say. A lot of pre-snap formation, a new defense, young team, sophomores on the defensive line. Coaching moment here, and they jumped.
Got him to jump.
And nobody's going to call it. Wow. Trainer was exactly right, and they're going to burn the timeout here. They got what they wanted, but the officials didn't see it, as Shackelford jumped all the way offsides with Drew Hawkins as well. And that's what Hoff's going to say. He's going to say, look, boys, you got the call there, but I got to tell you, that's exactly what a wing T team is going to do to you.
Yeah, they are, Will. It was a great call, a great attempt. Look, what does Sequoyah have to lose? 4th and 5. Bring that offense out there. Try to draw them off sides, like you said, as the coach Larry Prater used to say. This does not work this time. No harm, no foul. Sequoyah had an extra timeout, 2 timeouts to burn, so now they've got 1 remaining. Probably going to pin Woodstock deep here.
Just a few minutes away from the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show, so make sure you check out with that. We'll have special guest Chase Schaefer joining us here in the broadcast booth as he's visiting with his Sequoyah guys over there. Chase does the broadcast for the Chiefs TV on YouTube. So if Sequoyah ever has a home game, check them out on YouTube. They have a pretty good broadcast over there, able to watch them if you're not able to make it out to the game as well. So very kind to us and our group here at WLJA and Tri-State Communications Sports Network. Thank those guys as well. We have such great relationships with all the schools, really, and all the coaches are extremely easy to deal with and very pleasant, and the athletic directors as well. Once again, a special thank you to first-year athletic director Julie Crow for allowing us to be out here and being such a pleasant person to deal with as well. Sequoyah set the punt here. High snap, and it's fumbled. And Woodstock's going to have to chase it, and they're just going to fall on it, and they're going to whistle it dead. So, and Sequoyah probably wishes they hadn't whistled it dead because the punter was able to get out of the grasp of Nick Rule, but instead it's going to be a huge turnover on downs, technically. So Woodstock will take over well into Sequoyah territory, looks like about the 33-yard line.
Got to be sound in the kicking game, Will, and that time we saw a ton of snaps going over someone's head on Wednesday night. Looks like that bug has made its way over into Sequoyah and their special teams unit. Woodstock is in business with 3:13 left here in the first half.
Snappers seem to be in short supply here in Georgia. So the center is probably the most important position on the offensive line, you'd have to say, directing the plays, and outside of that, your tackles. So as we mentioned, Woodstock having a good one and returning senior J.T. Hunter. Cuomo fakes the handoff here, running it to the outside, going to make a break for the line. And Carter Sant pulls up, but forces him out, so a gain of about 3.
I think that might have broken down, but I actually like the play because it keeps him kind of guessing. Just because they've been throwing so much, you got a quarterback running there. It's going to keep him watching that backfield.
Cuomo, dual sport athlete with baseball, has some pretty good wheels as well. A pretty good pitcher is one of the things they were talking about. Worried he might not come back out for football because of how good he is at baseball. But fortunately, Coach Hoff was able to rattle the lockers and get him back out.
Oop, that's a false start.
So seeing some of those pregame jitters.
Looks like number 55 there on the left side of the line for Woodstock.
Get that number for you here as they're rotating men in and out. Number 55, Cameron Reeder, who plays defensive line, subbing in for one of these tackles out there who's a little bit tired after playing so many snaps, because they have played a lot of snaps. They just haven't been able to punch it in yet.
Yeah, just a lot of empty possessions here. This is the 6th drive for the Woodstock Wolverines here, so got to get some points on the board here, Will.
Yeah, really need to get some points on the board before the half. I think that mentally that really keeps you in the game.
Set up a screen, looking deep, got a man out there. Good coverage by Jackson Hancock as it was intended out there for Brady Williams. The size matchup is Hancock is 6 foot and Williams is 6'2", but Jackson Hancock, being only a sophomore, is a stud out there.
Yeah, he is all over the field right now. We saw him in the backfield. We've seen him almost have an interception. He's made a couple of tackles. That's a nice little battle with Hancock there and Brady Williams, man. I like that matchup. And also Hancock switching up and covering Rule as well. Great battle going on between the Sequoyah secondary and the Woodstock receiving corps.
As we mentioned, Woodstock only has one wide receiver with any catches to note, as Nick Rule had 5 catches last year. As Cuomo's deep under pressure, and Harrison Hood's going to get him in the backfield. And just like that, it's way back there, as Woodstock will be content to let this clock roll a little bit and set up a punt. So Harrison Hood, as we mentioned last year, had 7 tackles for losses, and he is now up to his first sack on the year. So a big start for him, one of those guys, along with Avery Bourne, the 2 ends that we really thought were going to have big years for Sequoyah.
Yeah, you mentioned Hood, Bourne. We've seen big Kamar Plummer get in there and pressure the quarterback. That time they bought a little pressure, Zakk. They kind of mixed it up on him.
Yeah, they certainly did. I think you can see that the linebacking core out there, you know, here's the thing. Brent Buddy knows what Woodstock's going to bring to the table being here for so many years. As this punt is back, Kalina rushed and nobody able to get to that punt. Trainer set to return. This one still hasn't put his hand up. Makes a man miss. Wow. Juking and jiving. And finally going to be tackled by Benji Shackelford out there at about the 15 with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. Have to see what kind of 2-minute drill a wing T offense has.
Hey, you can really make this work. I mean, 2 minutes is a good amount of time. They've got a decent amount of field to cover, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, you mentioned Sequoyah's scoring drives in the neighborhood of averaging under 3 minutes. So like you said, they can do it. We've seen them rip off a couple of big gains on the ground, so not out of the realm of possibility. And Trainer's also shown some elusiveness with his feet. Want to give a shout out while we wait for this play to Von Brown. Coach Josh Shaw also listening in from the Cherokee Warriors.
Doing a little bit of prep work, it would seem, as that ball came out awkwardly, but it is completed out there to Pye score, shoved out of bounds by Garcia. So a gain of about 6 there as it work his way out to the 21-yard line. Only a 6-second play for 6 yards, and that's exactly what you have to do when you're in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, it's got to work the sidelines here on the passing attack. I'd expect if they run it, probably be working the edge as well.
We don't see any new faces on the defensive back side. If they're a wide receiver, they're probably playing defensive back. As we mentioned, Michael Priester, who also ran a couple of times. Adonis Garcia here to the near side of us. And then Nick Rule playing center fielder, free safety back there. As this is a run here by Sequoyah.
Yeah, great blocking.
And there he goes. Peyton Lucas way outside. He might get out of bounds, and he does.
Yeah.
And a hold back here on the backside. Looks like number 72, the center, Dimitri Morris, sophomore, is the guilty party. So this will push him back from the spot of the foul. Looks like they're going to mark it at the 22 where he committed the foul. And for Sequoyah, that's a real game breaker because he had a huge run out there.
Had a huge run. Not only does, we got 1:49 left to play. This is going to back them up inside close to the 10-yard line here, Will. So we're looking at
11 or 12.
2nd and 15 maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, but sometimes that looked like it was a great play, but you never know. That holding may have completely opened that play up for him.
Right you are.
It can be said sometimes you can call a hold on just about every play.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly you can. It just depends how egregious you want to be with it.
As a former offensive lineman, I like it called very little.
They have one man out wide, 2 tight ends in the formation, shotgun formation. Trainer's going to keep it, and he is met rudely in the backfield. Turned around and faked the handoff and met immediately by number 50 for this Woodstock defense, as that is, I don't have a number 50 listed on the roster that I was provided. I'm going to go with Tate Washington, actually 58 on the call out there, the sophomore, as we mentioned. My apologies to Mr. Washington. I almost said Coach Hoff gave me the wrong roster. He did not. That's Tate Washington, his first tackle for loss of his career as a sophomore.
Woodstock burned all their timeouts, so this clock will tick, tick, tick. 3rd and 17 here, Will, from deep in their own territory of Sequoyah.
Shotgun again, and they're going to pass again.
Got a lot of people open.
Deep. Nick Rule out there, and it's complete to Jackson Hancock at about the 40-yard line. Going to be a super strike, move those chains. And with a minute left, Sequoyah may be able to put something together here.
Yeah, it was about a 40-yard pass. I'm kind of amazed they just ran a Hail Mary and had 4 guys open right there.
Yeah, Woodstock only had 1 guy in the center of the field, a couple of DBs around him.
Yeah, and he threw it to the guy with the most coverage, too.
That's the risk you take with a 3-5-3, right? You only have 3 defensive backs to play all the receivers.
Yep. Great
under pressure. And completed out to Hancock again. And this time he's going to be tackled in the open field. But it's enough for a first down. Move those chains. Carson Gray on the tackle. Jackson Hancock with all sorts of receiving yards, rushing yards. He has been all over the field and a couple of deflections as well. He's just been an exceptional player. We saw him play a little bit as a freshman as well. As Sequoyah goes, hurry up here, clock running 37 seconds. Trainer going to survey and tries to stiff arm a man, and he does.
Gets away.
Kalina comes back in and cleans that one up, as Ryan Burke was in there to begin with, and finally drugged down by Drew Hawkins as well. So a big loss there. And it looks like Sequoyah is going to take a timeout, and they do. So with 21 seconds left to go here in the half, we're just seconds away from the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. We'll keep the action right here for you. As we discuss, guys, Sequoyah, after that sack there, 2nd and 15, ball at midfield, what's in the playbook? Are you trying to go for it here? Are you trying to get in field goal range, maybe an out?
I mean, honestly, if you can even get 10 to 15 yards and get it to the 40 or the 35, I mean, he previously just showed us he can huck it 40 yards. So I think as long as you can at least get a little bit closer and give yourself a chance at the end there, I mean, that's what I'm going with so far.
Yeah, you gotta pick up a first down here. You burn your last time out. Little surprise, Trainer maybe showing a little bit of his youth there, not throwing that ball out of bounds to save that timeout. Really had nobody downfield. The coverage was well played by Woodstock, and Trainer trying to make a play and lost 5 yards. Just a great effort by the Woodstock defensive front to be relentless on Trainer that time.
Yeah, he did a good job stiff-arming Drew Hawkins coming after him there to begin with. And then finally...
yeah, that surprised me there. I didn't expect him to get away.
Did a good job, though, but finally was wrapped up out there by Carson Gray, as we mentioned, just one of the better players that you'll see, probably a top 5 defensive player. We were talking before the game started. You know, Brian Bradley, Isaac Hubert, a couple of guys that we mentioned, you know, Kyan Simmons, Toby Thompson as well in that discussion. Trainer looking deep, and it's Drew Hawkins again, and it looks like it was complete out there. It was the helmet catch. And it was complete to Jack Pye scores. Really should have let it fall incomplete, as it's a loss of 3. And with 10 seconds left, that might do it for Sequoyah.
Yeah, I think they're going to run it.
Yes, that is exactly what's going to happen here as the clock hits 0 right now. You can hear the buzzer. And that'll do it for us for the first half. We're going to jump into the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. A 2-minute break, and we'll be back. You're listening to the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. Sequoyah 14, Woodstock nothing.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packerland Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
It's football time, and Brian Aaron at Woodstock Outlet has some great news for all the football fans.
Hey, y'all, we are glad to be a sponsor for these games, and have a great time. Stay safe out there, and we just really do love being part of our community, and thankful we got the best customers a business could possibly have. And we built a new warehouse. We got it full for the pickup or delivery, so we're ready to go. Y'all come see us, and we sure do appreciate you.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Canton. They've found the best used cars and trucks to fill their lot. Hundreds to choose from. Just go to SchottenkirkChrysler.com and do a search. Then come by and test drive your choice or buy online. Schottenkirk is proud to call Cherokee County home and are happy to be the dealer with a fully stocked lot of cars and trucks. Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off Riverstone Parkway in Canton at 200 Liberty Boulevard.
In times of uncertainty, it's nice to know that there's still some things that are certain. Hi, I'm Dave Garner here, your local Woodman Life representative. I want to make sure that your family is protected with needs-based life insurance through Woodman Life. Life insurance has many benefits. It's not just something that's there when you pass. It's mortgage protection, family savings, debt relief, replacing lost income, and overall peace of mind. Some companies sell it because they have to. We sell it because it's what we do. Call for a free quote today or visit me online, and let's make certain that you're protected from today's uncertainty.
Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. I am your host, Will Cooper, joined alongside a slew of characters here. We've got Arthur Mosley, as you know, his second year with us here on Tri-State Communications Sports Network. Very thankful to have him. Zakk Gross, his first time, and his first time on WLJA airwaves. And that's not true, actually. You were with us on the preseason show just a couple of weeks ago. That is Chase Schaefer. Chase, thanks for being with us, partner.
Yeah, absolutely. A good first half of football, and it's great to see all the fans back and hear all the bands playing and everybody hooting and hollering. You know, we really missed that last year, so I'm very excited to have these atmospheres back in these Cherokee County stadiums.
Chase is the voice of Chiefs TV along with Will Hogendijk, so make sure you check those guys out on YouTube, Chiefs TV. They'll be able to broadcast all the home Sequoyah games for all you loyal Chiefs fans out there. Do a really good job with that. The production is top-notch. Can't say enough about that. We use them a lot. Hey, you know, Chase, getting ready for this game, I think I watched y'all's broadcast against Etowah probably 3 or 4 times just because the quality is so good and it's the best way you can get it. It's like Huddle on steroids.
Absolutely. Those kids do a fantastic job over there at that AV program at Sequoyah. You know, Coach Mann has really done a good job with those kids. He's got a group of kids that are really striving for excellence, and they've been able to put out a quality broadcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to be working with those kids. And some of them can do some amazing things on laptops and computers and in the editing booth that it takes real talent to do. So I'm excited to be part of that with them and look forward to building that program up some more.
For sure. Of course, as we get set here in the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. We're buying Art a little bit of time as he's getting some scores down with all of the games around the county. There's a lot to talk about on that, but let's focus on the game right here, guys. Zakk, I want to bring you back into the booth here. One thing that really stood out to me was that Sequoyah, we talked about them having a small offensive line, a couple of guys under 200 pounds, both the guards being under 200 pounds, but they were able to run the ball very effectively. But on the backside of that, Woodstock, great adjustment bringing those linebackers in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really impressed with some of these smaller guys. There's no replacement for effort, and you can see that these guys are giving it 110% and doing a really great job.
Chase, from your standpoint, being a Chiefs hometown broadcast, what have you seen from Woodstock that stood out to you?
Well, definitely towards the end of the second half, Woodstock, like you said, was making an adjustment and getting those linebackers in the gaps. And it seems like, Sequoyah only scored at the very beginning of the second quarter. And since then, not only has Sequoyah been in the shadow of their own end zone, but they've had a really hard time getting that base wing tee offense going. So a shout out to the defense making adjustments mid-game and not, waiting till halftime and making those what do you call those vaunted halftime adjustments that you already that you always hear about but never actually see during the middle of the game. So Sequoyah is going to have to find an answer there. But one of the things that's really impressed me about Sequoyah, and you mentioned the guards, Coach Teeter's been really high on those two guys. He's been really high on his guards going all the way back to preseason. In our preseason show, he talked a lot about them. Another thing that Sequoyah I've really been excited about watching is seeing some true shotgun formations come out of them. I was telling Will Hogendijk over here a minute ago, wow, they've got 3 wide receivers out there, and they're actually running a true shotgun formation rather than some kind of modified wing tee with a shotgun in it. So that's been excited to see, and it looks like when Sequoyah implements that, they have Woodstock a little bit on their toes.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And really, Troy Hoff has surprised me as a head coach here early because Woodstock looks pretty seasoned. The score wouldn't reflect that, but Zakk, when you get a new head coach in, I know in your playing career you had a couple of coaches cycle in and out. Typically there's those first game jitters, especially on a Friday night, where you're not sure what to expect, and sometimes false starts can be a problem, new offense, new defense being implemented for this new-look Wolverine team. But so far they've done a really good job and played a pretty clean game.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, we had that one where we thought that it might be called an encroachment for that fourth down. But, yeah, only one false start. So they've kept it pretty clean. The game overall has been pretty clean in terms of penalties, which both sides need to keep it clean to keep the ball moving, So.
Art, what you got, my friend?
Well, I got a couple of scores if we're ready for them.
Pitter-patter.
Absolutely.
Hey, a couple of surprises here. We thought that Creekview offense would struggle. I've got a score of 28-0. I've got Mason Hicks with a few touchdown passes. Let me see if I can get this right. Mason Hicks to Michael Roach for a 15-yard touchdown, the sophomore. Tyler Stevens with a 2-yard rushing touchdown, also adding another receiving touchdown from 18 yards. And then we mentioned the Citadel commit, Cale Williams caught a 15-yard touchdown pass at the half over at the Grizzly Den. It's 28-0. Creekview over Etowah, and then another surprise, River Ridge 7, Lassiter 7 at the half.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. River Ridge comes into this game with a lot of expectations this season as a whole. It's one game. It's only one half. A lot of teams can run with teams for a half. It depends on the depth, and that's something that I think we'll even see play out later in the season. And, Chase, what's your take on that?
Well, another thing to think about, too, is River Ridge, their offense is predicated on that running game. So what you're probably seeing happen in that game is River Ridge's offense sticking true to who they are, running. A fresh Lassiter team's probably throwing a lot of guys in the box at them right now.
Right.
But I think one of the things that we'll see towards the end of that game is River Ridge's offensive line really start to lean on that Lassiter defensive front, and I think they'll be able to break that one open.
I think I was more surprised with the fact that it was 7-7 and not 41-41 or something like that, because you would think that River Ridge replacing 8 to 9 starters on that defensive side, that there would be a lot more inexperience, and Lassiter's a wide open team. I thought that maybe a couple of corners would get burned early and you would see River Ridge kind of fight back. So the fact that 7-7 is very intriguing. Let's go back to the Creekview game here for a minute. 28-0, right? Etowah is just struggling right now, and I think, as a whole, we kind of expected them to struggle a little bit. And it's kind of the same thing we talked about last year, Art, on broadcast, where we weren't sure if Creekview was that good, if Etowah was that bad, where it ends and where it begins. And I think we're seeing a Creekview team that has something to prove from last year, winning the game on the last play of the game. And we're seeing Etowah right now getting kind of caught off guard. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles kind of turn their talons back out and fight back.
look, Creekview pulling out some trickeration of their own after that first touchdown drive. Then they go for an onside kick. So Coach Williams showing he's a little bit of a riverboat gambler there, rolling the dice early. Like you said, Will, Creekview had something to prove. Scoring was down last year. We thought if they scored maybe 5 or 6 more points a game, that's a different team. And certainly if they score 6 more points, they beat River Ridge and are the region champs.
Yep.
Nonetheless, Mason Hicks kind of removing all doubts, at least tonight. Now, and like you said, we don't know if this is maybe Etowah didn't come ready to play or a little bit shocked by Creekview, but the Grizzlies had something to prove up big on the 7-8.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at this team for Etowah, right, there's a lot of new faces in there as well. As we mentioned, a couple of guys that didn't come out for football this year. Obviously replacing guys like Brock Recksteiner is a big ask as he makes his way to Barry now, I believe. And with all that being said, you just got guys that you're going to have to plug in those holes. The linebacking core is one that was it was a good group returning, not starters, but guys that had filled in depth roles and a pretty good sizable amount of tackles. I think Will Palethorpe even had 30, 40 tackles last year. One of those guys that you're going to lean on as they're replacing Austin Skinner and Lane Cantrell out of that defense. The other question for me was the defensive line, because all of the starters were returning, but they just didn't have a big size. And we know how good Creekview's offensive line is historically, and it was just going to be a big battle up there. But let's go ahead and take our first break of the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. When we come back, we'll talk a lot more local high school football here for you on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network as the Wolverine Band takes it away for us. You're listening to the WLJA Cherokee County Game of the Week.
Are you paying too much for your car or home insurance? At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we represent dozens of highly rated insurance companies. We can help you develop the right protection plan for your family and then search to find you the best combination of price and protection. Call us today at 678-880-9571 or come by and see us at 670 East Main Street in Canton for a free, no obligation quote on your home, auto, business, or life insurance. Securities and advisory services offered through Packerland Brokerage Services Incorporated, an affiliate entity, member FINRA and SIPC.
Golf cars used to only be for golfers. But now there's so much more. Golf Cars also offer transportation around your neighborhood or farm. Get yours at Golf Cars of Canton, your Club Car, Tomberlin, Garia, and Columbia dealer. Plus, they have a full service and parts department. Check out the selection of used golf cars or ask about renting. Go to golfcarsofcanton.com. Visit them at 121 Waleska Street in the Sandy Hook Shopping Center or call them 678-880-1156.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Soseby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Soseby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
When you are the official sponsor of the comeback, adding a few feet to a drive matters. First down. So does shaving a tenth of a second off a lap. Top-rated surgery, physical therapy, and motion analysis by the sports medicine team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta helps young athletes not only prevent injuries, but heal faster and return stronger, ready to win. Our more than 25 orthopedic and sports medicine locations are ready to assist your athlete's comeback. To learn more, visit choa.org/sportsmed.
Welcome back into the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. I am your host, Will Cooper, joined alongside Zakk Gross making his radio debut, Arthur Mosley with us for another season, and Chase Schaefer, the man from Chiefs TV, talking some Sequoyah football with us. Guys, we were going out of break there. We were talking about Johns Creek in Gainesville. Johns Creek beat them 23-6. Is that right, Chase?
26-10.
26-10. That's a scary proposition there, right? Because Von Brown was very high on Johns Creek coming into this season, especially with the three big ones that we have in Region 7, 6A, talking about River Ridge, Sequoyah, and Creekview. And coming out of this early game there, Gainesville historically a very good team. I'm going to be intrigued to go back and watch the tape and see what kind of brand of offense Johns Creek is bringing into this one, because they struggled to score even against this Sequoyah team. The game ended up being 15-10. Sequoyah lost, but a very, very good defensive effort by both teams.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chase. I'm sorry. You're the guest here. I'm stepping all over Chase.
It's your party. I'm just invited. Go ahead.
We're going to hear from Chase. Go ahead,
Go, Chase.
So last year when they played Johns Creek over at Johns Creek, Sequoiah's offense wasn't even going either. So Johns Creek's Johns Creek's defense had really stiffened their necks and held them, and the only touchdown that Sequoyah was able to muster was a Jonah Haney pick six after a tipped pass on the 5-yard line. So Sequoyah really going to have to figure something out. And one of the things that makes me feel optimistic about that is seeing this new look offense with a lot more passing plays. Coach Teeter being a lot more confident in the arm of Matthew Trainer. He's been on and off here tonight, but I think in the second half, once he settles down, we'll see a lot more completed passes. And, he's had a couple of them dropped. I mean, that touchdown hit Ty Morris right in the face mask.
Yes, it did.
But I think once he settles down a little bit, if they open it up and keep throwing it, I think Sequoyah really has an opportunity to take this offense to a new level, incorporating that passing game into this wing tee.
You mentioned Johns Creek up 26-10. A couple of other scores of note, courtesy of yours truly, Chase Schaefer over here to my right. Alpharetta up on Chattahoochee 14-0. Both those two teams that our county teams are familiar with, Alpharetta in 7A, Chattahoochee in 6A, and also Lambert up big on Centennial 21-0. Centennial was a team I picked early as a possible number 4 seed, things I would like to take back. Maybe another thing I'd like to take back is me busting Von Brown's chops about picking those Creekview Grizzlies as a number 1 team in his power poll, but it looks like he might know something we don't know, Will.
You might be jumping the gun a little bit there, folks. We got to remember, we've played 2 quarters of football in a season that's 10 games long.
Right. Well, the only team in Sequoyah's region that's played a full game just waxed Gainesville in the Corky Kell Classic, so we might be singing a different tune come the end of the season if Johns Creek's the 1 seed. But, good for Johns Creek, but one thing that we're desperately trying to avoid in Region 7-6A is being that 4 seed, because, my goodness, who wants to go to Carrollton and play Coach King and the Trojans?
Yeah, it's either Carrollton with Joey King, who was a coach over at USF, and then came back to coach the Carrollton Trojans, or if they don't win the region, you can always go play Rome.
Well, Coach King also, coached a somewhat famous quarterback in at Cartersville. Maybe everybody's heard of him, but
might be a quarterback somewhere in the NFL now. I can't remember.
Plays at Jacksonville, I think, with that guy from Florida, Urban Meyer.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Lawrence,
before.
That's his name.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrence.
Yeah, Kyle Lawrence.
He's kind of good.
That's it.
He's kind of good, isn't he?
He's pretty good. As we see the Sequoyah Chiefs band, I believe, taking the field here. One of the great things about having these intercounty matchups is these, first of all, the athletic directors get together and make the trip so easy and everything's so well put together, but also the band coordinators get together as well, and the band directors are able to get out there and perform for both schools. And it's very nice to see because the fans are very attentive here as they get ready to take the field, and you'll hear them playing in our mic here as we've got about 4 minutes left on the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. We want to thank those guys for being back on with us, and also coming in a pinch on the preseason show. We were able to schedule that real quick as well. Guys, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this game, though, for a minute. Troy Hoff, what's he talking about in the locker room right now? Obviously, the problem is you can't score. 0-14, you're not going to win with 0 points. But he has to feel pretty good about the defensive effort so far because Sequoyah has not only run the wing tee for a long time, but they have athletes like Jackson Hancock, Matthew Trainer, Jack Pye scores, and, a slew of other characters there that are going to be able to carry the rock and really get things going. So what's the message to the Woodstock Wolverines coming into this one?
I would just say keep focused. I mean, you've got a whole half of football. It's only 2 scores. You can make it up. So that's the number 1 thing I'm telling my guys is to be focused, keep working.
Go ahead, Chase.
One thing I was going to say was Sequoyah really has those athletes to, one of the things we saw in the spring game and obviously in the preseason game was Sequoyah needs 1 play to break it open. Mm-hmm. They've got athletes that if they get space, they're off. I mean, they're gone. Off to the races. And one thing that we've really seen Woodstock do a good job here tonight is keep Sequoyah in front of them. If they can keep Sequoyah in front of them and mitigate this damage, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to come back because that offense is struggling so much.
Right.
But at least that offense is going to have a puncher's chance. If the defense can keep playing assignment sound football, do a good job of keeping all these Chiefs in front of them and not letting Trainer break one open or Peyton Lucas break one open. Heaven forbid Jackson Hancock get some space. We almost saw him pick 6 the first play of the game.
Yeah.
So they've got the athletes, and I think Sequoyah's Woodstock's doing a really good job of containing that, but that offense is going to have to figure something out.
Art, unseasonably quiet. Go ahead.
Unseasonably quiet, yes. I'm just taking in all of this knowledge from Chase.
It's a wealth of knowledge.
It's a wealth of knowledge.
We're outgunned.
If I'm Coach Hoff in that locker room, Will, one of the things he told us in our preseason preview on Football Fridays at the Tavern is, hey, when you put in that tape and watch the Woodstock Wolverines, I don't want you shouldn't realize if we're up 14-0, if we're down 35-0, our guys should be playing hard. Continue to play hard. Like Chase said, they've got to keep Sequoyah in front and mitigate some of that damage. I think offensively they're going to click at some point. The defense has been put in pretty big holes. Let's see if that offense can get something going. One last point I want to make, Sequoyah's got to be sound in the special teams. We saw a snafu there. If I stole your thunder, Chase, I apologize. That's one thing that can get these Woodstock Wolverines right back in the game. Remember, Sequoyah is set to receive the second half kickoff.
Yeah, and I think they can come out and set the tone in the wing T offense, right? Because they can take an 8-minute drive, and if they do that, then you're talking about halfway through the third quarter. And Zakk, your point's a little different than at that point, down by 2 scores with the half coming up versus down by 3 scores with about 16 minutes total game time.
And if I'm Coach Teeter, I'm really proud of what my offense is doing. Precisely what that wing T is designed to do: bleed a lot of clock. Sequoyah has put together some agonizingly long drives here. I mean, we remember back to the Etowah game in preseason where Etowah had 3 offensive snaps.
Yep.
15 was about 20 minutes into the game.
Yep.
It wasn't until the 6th minute of the second quarter that Etowah was even able to get anything going. So I'll throw it back to you, Will, as we're getting under a minute to go here.
Yeah, we got about a minute left on the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show here. And, Chase, thank you for being with us, my friend. I know Chiefs TV is going to do some great things this year. I know you got Coach Brad out there with you as well, doing great things. Got to talk to him. It's so funny because the Woodstock Sequoyah group, it seems like there's a lot of trades going on with everybody, Brent Buddy, and then they were talking about trade secrets. Go ahead, Chase.
Let me talk about trades for a second. How about Aiden Moore in that Corky Kell Classic game?
Hey, our Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram player of the game with 2 touchdowns on 2 grabs. He's a guy that we are very excited to see as well. He'll be playing at Skip Pope Stadium again, as that is our Cherokee County game of the week. Chase Schaefer was not even a part of the broadcast booth and made the best segue of the night. Chase, we're going to let you go. Wish Will a good night for us, and we'll see you next week, my friend.
Guys, take care. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to send it to break here as we've got about 3 minutes until we get set for action again. You've been listening to the Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management halftime show. We want to thank you for being with us. 2 minutes, and we'll be back and hit a station ID. You're listening to WLJA 101.1 FM.
You're listening to WLJA FM 101.1 and WLJA HD1 Ellijay, Woodstock, Jasper, Canton, and all of North Georgia.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packerland Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
Prescription medications can help us live longer and healthier lives, but any medication has the potential to do harm if misused. Drug-Free Cherokee would like to remind you to only use prescription medications as directed by a health professional. Never share your medications with others or use someone else's. Always store your medications securely to prevent others from taking them, and properly dispose of medications that you no longer need. Be a good example for those around you and promote safe medication practices and teach others to do the same. Visit drugfreecherokee.com.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Canton. They've found the best used cars and trucks to fill their lot. Hundreds to choose from. Just go to SchottenkirkChrysler.com and do a search. Then come by and test drive your choice or buy online. Schottenkirk is proud to call Cherokee County home and are happy to be the dealer with a fully stocked lot of cars and trucks. Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off Riverstone Parkway in Canton at 200 Liberty Boulevard.
Northside Hospital Cherokee proudly supports Cherokee County football. Thousands of Northside doctors, nurses, and staff are right here in Canton, serving on the top-ranked team for your family's health needs. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or in your neighborhood, Northside has the expertise to provide exceptional care in your community. For sports medicine, cardiology, maternity, oncology, and other specialties, you can trust your health care to Northside. Visit northside.com/Cherokee to learn more.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth. We want to thank Ace of Spades Jones back there on Master Controls, doing such a good job for us as well. And, of course, we miss Dave Garner here with us. Hope he's resting up and getting ready for an exciting weekend. Of course, he does have other obligations, as he does actually have a family. Art, I'm not sure how you get out of the house so much, since I know you have kids even younger than Dave's. But, my friend, you seem to get away with it a good bit.
Well, I do, Will. I have to grease the palms of one Miss Hillary Mosley to make sure I get out in a way to do one of the things I love, and that's talk about high school football. Will, we've got as the clock winds down here, had a pretty exciting first half here. One thing, you said we missed Dave. I want to tell you, I'm also missing Ronnie on the spot right now because I've got my hands tied over here trying to keep some stats for you, so we won't have any full stats. I will tell you quarterback play. I can give you some passing stats. Matthew Traynor for the Sequoyah Chiefs, 6 of 10 for 51 yards. Dan Como for Woodstock, 5 of 12 also for 51 yards. The difference here is a few big runs and a running scores by Sequoyah, by Pie scores, and Traynor as well. That's your difference in the ball game.
Well, not only that, but the field position. I mean, really the two scoring drives that Sequoyah had, they started in Woodstock's territory.
It's just so good, gentlemen. The commentary is prime. Zakk, we want to ask you, you've been with us for a half now. How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm still a little nervous.
Yeah?
Not gonna lie.
Yeah? You're doing a great job, my friend. We want to thank you for being with us, of course. We're missing Von Brown out in Fort Worth, Texas with some family obligations.
Actually, I think Von Brown is back in the Atlanta metro vicinity. So he had a,
well, where is he? Let's get him here.
Well,
we got a bunch of people skipping out.
I'm just kidding.
He'll be back next week for the Sequoyah Cherokee game. Will, as you mentioned, that's the WLJA 101.1 FM game
Dave
of the
Garner.
week. So that ought to be an exciting one as well. Before we get to that, though, Sequoiah's got a second half and a game to finish off here against a very talented, as we've seen, Woodstock team.
They sure do. There's a lot of exciting things to talk about. We want to mention another score. North Forsyth up 9-7 over Alcovey. So that's a game to watch over not too far from here, really. We like to keep track of the Forsyth County schools and Bartow County schools, of course. We cover over 20 counties, I believe, all of North Georgia, and then you've got a little bit of Alabama and Tennessee and North Carolina as well. So thanks, everyone, for listening. As toe meets leather here in the second half, and we're underway. Sequoyah up 14-0, and this kick is taken at about the 5-yard line. Looks like Hancock on the return, and he's going to work his way up to about the 26, where he's met by a group of Wolverines, and that's where the Chiefs will set up shop.
I would say that this is going to be a pivotal drive for both teams. I mean, if Woodstock can stop them here and get a 3-and-out, get the ball back and score, they're right on track to be back in this game. But, again, on the flip side, if Sequoyah can come out here, drive the ball, break off some big runs, or just bleed some clock, I think they might have it in the bag.
Woodstock dressed out in their blue pants, blue shirts, white numerals, and maroon helmet with the new design on it. It's just the Wolverine head instead of the old-fashioned W. Sequoyah hasn't changed their uniform in years. It's white with black numerals, black on the stripe, and then the old Michigan-style helmet. So you know what to expect from the classic look of the Chiefs. As this time it's a trap, and a big hole opens up. Look out, as that's Pie Scores rumbling his way across the field, and down finally at about the 42 is where they'll mark him. Move those chains, and just like that, a play that couldn't really happen for the Wolverines, and that's a back-breaking play as they are well into Wolverine territory now, Zakk.
Yeah, that was a lot of effort there because, to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure he just drugged two guys about 15, 20 yards. Impressive run and huge hole for him to run through there.
31-yard gain for Pie Scores on that, Will. Man, and Sequoyah is in business.
Pie Scores making his case for the Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram player of the game. We'll have to keep an eye on that through the night. A pitch out here. This time out to Lucas. Lucas working his way towards the sideline. 30, 25, making people miss, and a big hit outside by number 2, Nick Rule. But that's enough for another first down. Move those chains. Sequoyah working their way 2 plays and 2 chunk yardage, 2 first downs.
Yeah, Jackson Hancock actually on the carry. That one almost a 19-yard gain that time for Hancock. So we've eaten up 50 yards in 2 plays for Sequoyah on the ground. Big effort on the ground. Great job by that offensive line by the Chiefs.
No reason to get off the ground attack now, which is the perfect reason to go to the play action. Wingback, fullback, and this time it's a misdirection here. It was originally handed off to Pie Scores and then handed back out to Hancock. Hancock making a couple people miss. Probably should have fallen down the first contact, but was able to regroup himself as it looks like Ryan Burke was in there on the tackle along with Preston Lawrence. So it looks like a loss of about 2, 2nd and 12, and the Woodstock Wolverines desperately needed that, Zakk.
It's looking like the last 3 plays, I think they just ran to the weak side, and it looked like they were going to run strong side since they had the wider side of the hash that time, but then a misdirection. So maybe they found something on the weak side that they're wanting to exploit.
Working on the weak side over there is Zale Day. Tate Washington working on the far side over here with David Sales being the interior lineman. It looks like Saul Holland might be in there for this snap. As this time they're going to work out towards the far side of the field. Got a man open. That's Hancock. Cut and in. So Jackson Hancock with the touchdown reception over Adonis Garcia. And it is another Sequoyah Chiefs touchdown. And it took almost no time off the board. 1 minute and 36 seconds off as an uncharacteristically fast drive for the Chiefs. But it makes it 21-0 pending the extra point. And Woodstock, the drive they desperately couldn't have, just happened.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's going to set the tone. And to be honest with you, Woodstock seems like they're a little down maybe, or they're not flying around like they were previously. So, again, plenty of time. It's 3 scores now, but as a head coach, I'm bringing my guys back saying, hey, look, it's time to kick it in gear. Let's score right here.
Joseph Ryan puts the extra point attempt up and through. We'll keep the action right here for you with 10:14 left to go in the half. Second half, I believe, We're in the third quarter. I'll get it right eventually. You have to forgive us. We were on air about 44 hours ago, Art, before we started this one, in a blistering hot West Forsyth sun, as we saw the Cherokee Warriors dominate the Maize Raiders 52-6. But nonetheless, it'll take it out of you, won't it, buddy?
It will. And so, Will, we've been hydrating all week, getting ready for this, just like our friends at Northside Cherokee have let us know. But it's still, like you said, that heat takes it out of us. Let me give you some stats of officially unofficial 4-play drive, 73 yards. And as you mentioned, Will, 1 minute, 30 seconds off the clock. Sequoyah is in business and up. We're still early in the third quarter, 21-0.
For sure. They're going to have to find something somewhere explosive.
Yeah, I think if you can get some sort of big play and 10, 15, 20 yards, I think you're right back on it. Like I said, 3 scores is manageable with this much time left.
I'm looking at Adonis Garcia here thinking on the depth chart they got to be trying to go to him. Only went to him once through the air. Really good coverage by Jackson Hancock. Seems to be singling him out. Maybe see something they like from him. As we mentioned, Nick Rule was the only player returning for Woodstock and only had 5 receptions last year. As Garcia is going to watch this bounce in front of him and going to take it on a run. Going to try and set up a return here. Runs around Connor Sant, and this isn't going anywhere. Sant's going to wrap him up finally, and a loss of about 8. Set up at the 9-yard line, So if he ran on a straight line, probably would have got out to about the 20, but instead loses 12. And
big coaching moment there.
So they're going to mark him officially at the 10. And Garcia will be working on the far side there, as we mentioned, the aforementioned return man. As Cuomo comes back out, he's trotting out with him number 7 to play running back, and that's Michael Preaser. So we've seen Preaser in at halfback a couple of different times. 3 wide receivers and a tight end. Benji Shackelford, the tight end. That's Hendricks in motion. And they're going to hand it off to Preaser. Makes a spin move, working his way outside. And it's going to be real close to a first down marker. Let's see where the line judge marks it. As they're going to have a discussion here. We've got 1 standing at the 19, and 19 will be the official mark, so 2nd and 1. Guys, Woodstock's had success running the football. They just tend to go away from it pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do. Maybe they're Coach Hoff trying to mix it up, keep Sequoyah guessing. But a lot of times when you get in a rhythm with those offensive linemen, you want to keep them moving. If they're opening up holes, let those big guys work up front.
We're seeing him run behind Tyler Duthit, as we mentioned in the pregame, as he'll pick up probably a 3-star athlete with offers from Maryland so far. And this is another good run outside by Hendricks. And he bounces off the man, and it's plenty enough for a first down. So move those chains and give them about 5 yards after that as they work their way out to the 25-yard line. So maybe Woodstock is one that will need the more methodical drive here, Zakk. We would think it'd be the opposite with the offensive styles. But Sequoyah scoring in 1 minute 30. Woodstock maybe needs something a little slower.
Yeah, I really think they need to put some points on the board to mentally stay in this game. I think that's the biggest challenge for them right now with having a little bit less guys on the sideline and having to run people in and out and guys playing both ways. You really need a score here.
Well, this is an offense for Sequoyah that only had 5 turnovers, so pretty sound with the football as Hendricks takes this carry again. He fights forward for a gain of about 3 and was never actually tackled, but whistles came in. But to go back to that last point, Sequoyah had 5 turnovers all season last season. And to compare that to this Wolverine team, obviously different, but they had 17 total turnovers. And we've seen that tonight as well with the turnover on downs and things like that. So the Chiefs are a sound football team when it comes to the offense, and we know they have the opportunity to bleed clock. And being down 21-0 is not a position that the Wolverines want to be in. They need to score.
Right you are, Will, as we look at a 2nd and 7 here for Woodstock.
Set up here in the shotgun. Fakes the handoff, looking deep. Can't find anybody. Shackelford looking and releases on the valve. And, it was tipped by Connor Sant and almost intercepted by Ben Sanders out there. Sanders, another returning defensive back for them. He had 11 tackles last year. But good job by Sant. Sant played corner last year, and it looks like they've moved him up into a hybrid linebacker spot, I should say. And it's 3rd and 7, ball on the 28-yard line.
Yeah, Como trying to squeeze that ball in there that time. Not a whole lot of room, and very fortunate that ball fell harmlessly to the turf. Sets up a 3rd down and long here, like you said, Will.
As Cam Smith makes his way to the tent, looks like he's getting treated for a cramp here. Woodstock has man in the backfield wide open. That was Carson Gray, and just thrown just at his feet. Nothing he could do about that. So Woodstock going to have to punt here again with 8 minutes and 14 seconds left to go.
Looks like big number 60 in there. Don't have a name for him,
50.
Will, but was it 50? I'm sorry.
Brady Curl.
Brady Curl, you mentioned him before. Thank you very much. I got to get my eyes checked here. Brady Curl applying the pressure. And,
that looked like a wrap. I think he pulled back. I think they blitzed, and he pulled back, and he filled the gap that wasn't covered. Great defensive call there, I'd say.
As we mentioned, Brent Buddy, one of the big storylines coming into this, has been the head coach at Woodstock for a long time, and now is the defensive coordinator at Sequoyah. It's Troy Hoff's first game here at Woodstock. Has a good punt here by Colina, end over end, and Trainer's the return man, got a little space to work, and makes a man miss, and now he's going to be working outside, but finally wrapped up by Alex Hendricks. Lost about 4 or 5 yards on the return, so good coverage by Woodstock and the very shifty Trainer, as Trainer will pick himself back up and march over under center.
Yeah, sometimes these returners have to kind of know when to cut their losses, and nobody wants to take an L right there, but looked like Trainer would have been better served to just take that one and just say, hey, let's bring it back out. Our offense is rolling, no need to try to make a play. Also, one of the things I noticed, he kind of is a little carefree holding that ball on those returns, so let's watch that going forward.
Holding it like a loaf of bread just then. I thought he was going to lose it.
Something to keep an eye on here. As we mentioned, a very sound team when it comes to turnovers, with only 6 all year, 5 of them being interceptions, so not a very high fumbling team. But anything can happen. And this time a fullback trap is wide open. And carried out close to a first down, a yard short of the first down marker. And that carry was by Peyton Lucas. And we're kind of seeing Sequoyah right now having their way with this Woodstock defensive line, something we talked about, Zakk. 3-5-3 defense coming in, not a lot of weight on the actual offensive line. As we have a score update, River Ridge up 14-10 as Carson Latham completes a pass out to Jackson Head for a touchdown. So a little bit of separation there. Still a very good game, as that game is going on just down the road here. Another run here. I believe that was Pie Scores on the carry. It's actually Cruz Wright, his first game. He's the backup fullback. Junior listed at 5'8", 180 pounds, and that's enough for a first down, so move those chains.
Cruz Wright squirting free for 4 yards there for the Chiefs, like you said, Will. They're showing a little bit of depth there in the backfield.
So 1st and 10 set up, and now in Woodstock territory at the 49-yard line. 7 minutes and 10 seconds left to go here in the third. As they're loading up on the near sideline once again here at the vantage point of Woodstock High School on the home press side. And another fullback trap that's wide open, and a very good hit out there, I believe. That was Alex Hendricks who came up and laid the lumber there, but nonetheless a gain of about 5 once again. That time Jack Pye scores on the carry.
Yeah, I think Woodstock's defensive line is just tired. He was 52 was pushed back like 3 to 4 yards on that play. And that's pretty much all they got on the run. So
Zale Day, David Sales, and Drew Hawkins are the guys in there. A couple of seniors and a sophomore. Showing blitz off the end. And Preston Lawrence giving pursuit, but it's going to be real close to a first down. It's going to be about a yard shy, so 3rd and 1. As once again, as we mentioned, this is going to be one of those methodical drives for Sequoyah as they're keeping it on the ground here. And 3rd and 1, Woodstock's got to find a way to stop them, because anything closer, you're going to be close to field goal range.
Yeah, it is. Great job by Lucas here on the inside. Want to give a shout-out real quick while we have a moment to Miss Melissa Williams. That is the mom of Creekview head coach Trevor Williams, listening to the game from Tennessee here on WLJA Radio. So thanks so much, Miss Williams. We set up a 3rd down and 1. We'll take it away.
Thank you, Art. Thanks to all of our listeners out there tonight, as this is a handoff to Cruz Wright, and he's working his way well for a 1st down, a gain of about 6. Move those chains, working their way deep into Woodstock territory. And Miss Williams, probably one of the most active people you'll ever see on Twitter, and, of course, a very valued listener for us as well, and I know for you guys on the podcast, just a reliable, if nothing else, you're going to get at least one listener or one view because she's always checking it out. So we, of course, appreciate her at WLJA.
Like you said, Will, we appreciate her and all of our listeners tonight across North and Northwest Georgia. Sequoyah on the move as the clock ticks down under 5:20.
Misdirection pass here, release valve, no pressure. Holding that didn't get called, and there might be a holding now here from the line judge. It was thrown late. We'll have to see. Pass was complete out to Cruz Wright with Nick Rule on the tackle. It's going to be a yard of the 1st down marker if it stands, but we'll have to see what the Whitecap tells us here on the PA at Woodstock.
These play-action passes that Sequoyah's running are brutal. I don't think he saw him, but he had somebody in the end zone there. And just about every time there's somebody open on the back end. So I think their run game is obviously establishing. Woodstock is focusing on that. And they need to keep an eye on the back end.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Ashton Hunt, number 83, running wide open there in the back of the end zone. Problem is, Trainer's rolling to his left, trying to throw a little bit across his body coming back this side. So for that right-handed quarterback, maybe a little bit of a difficult throw. Made a great pass nonetheless, but none of that matters because of the holding call.
Yeah. Well, it's actually an eligible man downfield call set up 1st and 15.
Thank you, Will.
That's all right. It's what I'm here for, folks. As this is a toss out to Pie Scores. Pretty good edge out there, and he's going to work his way back probably a yard shy of the original line of scrimmage to set up 2nd and 11. So probably a winning play for Sequoyah with 4 yards, and probably a winning play for Woodstock as they only gave up 4 yards, as they're still keeping them behind the chains here. But we're talking about 5 minutes and 6 seconds left to go here in the 3rd. And you're slowly seeing that time eat away here, Art, which is what Sequoyah does so well.
You mentioned that Sequoyah took over this drive a little bit more than 8 minutes on the clock. As you mentioned, Will, getting ready to tick under 5 minutes on this next snap. And even as Zakk mentioned, that Woodstock defensive front has got to be getting tired out there.
Showing a little bit of pressure from each side. Trainer's barking out orders here. Now he's going to work out to Ashkin, as you mentioned. Cruz Wright in motion. Fakes the pitch, misdirection. And Preston Lawrence, the first one there, joined by a group of Wolverines who were able to bring him down. Give the tackle out there to Cameron Reeder, his first game. We have a few different Wolverines checking in and out.
So we've got a 3rd and long. I mean, are you going to be aggressive? I mean, you're up 21, but you really could put this game away. If you can get a 1st down and get in field goal position or push it to where you're scoring, I mean, you're putting it out of reach almost.
From where we are here, it would be about a 48-yarder. Joseph Ryan is the kicker. We haven't seen him before, so we're not sure about his range. Steven Zarita probably could have hit a 48-yarder. So not sure about yet, but we'll see as they're going to keep it on the ground here. And, wow, really good play. Can't field goal kick it now, as that was Benji Shackelford on the tackle out there as the carry by Peyton Lucas goes nowhere. A loss of about, a big loss. Say a loss of about 3 on the play, and with 4th and 13, they're probably going to have to punt here, Zakk.
Yeah, but I ultimately I think that drive was a really great positive, even though they're behind the chains. They ate up 4 minutes off the clock.
Right, and kept this Wolverines defense out on the field for a long time as well. So Woodstock going to have to get in desperation mode here pretty quick. Obviously, there's still about 15 and a half minutes left to go of total game time here. The quarters are 12 minutes each in high school football. So one of those adjustments that's difficult to make when you go into the season watching high school and college football, and even into the pros, the time difference and some of the rules are different as well. So have to have a different break.
Much better snap that time.
A much better kick, as this might be perfect, and it's going to be a pretty darn good punt. Maybe walk out to the – I thought it was a little bit better than that, but they're going to put it out at about the 8-yard line. Nonetheless, still a very good punt, guys.
Right inside the 10.
Great execution on the punt. I was almost a little worried after a bad snap early in the half. Looks like Sequoyah has figured that out, and a marvelous punt pinning Woodstock deep.
So let's see what the new-look Wolverines can do. Cuomo comes back out here, leading his troops. This offensive line looks pretty good so far. Haven't had a lot of complaints about them. Obviously, working the 3-4 defense, it's real difficult as they're going to be pressure from a lot of different places. But they're going to tighten things up here, maybe get back to the run a little bit, although it might be a little late for that. 2 wide, 1 tight end, 1 running back, and the extra lineman.
Oh, they're going.
It's a jet sweep, and that's going absolutely nowhere, as that was number 21 on the carry. Get the number for you on that. Number 21 is Sherrod Ellie. So first time we've seen his name called as he'll check out of the game here and give way to Caden Pickens. First time we've talked about him so far.
Quick score update for you, Will. River Ridge up 21-10 now after a block punt that was returned for a touchdown. So the Knights getting some things figured out over there.
Yeah, it always takes a little bit, right?
That it does.
We saw the WLJA Bowl 7-7 there at the end of the starters, so a little bit to work on for everyone. Cuomo, the snap's high, but able to get it off and falls forward back to the original line of scrimmage, does the ball carrier, as we mentioned. So that's number 21 again. Sherrod Ellie checked in. I believe I got the number wrong last time. It was Aiden Stacy who checked out of the tight end position last time. So we're just talking about a guy that's a little bit younger here, as he's only a sophomore, but getting his first varsity carries of his career as the clock ticks just under 2 minutes here in the third quarter. Thank everybody for being with us on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network. I'm Will Cooper, joined alongside Zakk Gross, Arthur Mosley as well, as we've got a great game on tap for you. And if you're excited about football season, then get in line, because we are too, and we're going to be bringing it to you all season long. As Cuomo serves deep, got a man, and it was just wide of the target and intercepted out there by number 3. That's Ridley Joseph. So the pass was intended for number 8. And that's Caden Pickens who checked into the game on the last play. So the Wolverines in big trouble now as they turn the ball over on about the 23-yard line.
So something that was interesting there, I mean, there was a huge hole up the middle. And they ran kind of like a read option style play there. And I'm curious if, because the offense is, the coaches knew, the offense is kind of new, if he didn't really give him the option to decide. But, I mean, if he handed that off, I mean, that might be a 10-yard run and first down.
That's a good point, especially because this is a team that runs a little bit of RPO. It's not the offense that you would expect like we saw from Mays, but they do have that built into the playbook.
They do. Ridley Joseph there on the interception, a guy who has some big play capability. We've seen him play on both sides of the ball early in the spring game and coming up with a big pick here to set Sequoyah up deep in Woodstock territory.
As this pitch outside onto number 19 out there in space, that's Tyler Bell, a sophomore. So seeing a little bit of fresh legs out there in the Georgia heat. So
it's feeling good right now, though.
It is. The sunset. Now it's officially dark out here. We can see the lights out there towards Town Lake and the movie theater and the Chili's and all that. Might have a post-game meal, gentlemen.
Maybe
Although
so.
we don't have Dave Garner with us, so luckily he won't clean out the kitchen on us.
Well, we were hoping Dave would show up to pay the bill, Will. But
that's the best part.
Well, when you go to Chili's with Dave, they don't offer the unlimited soup and salad for him. As that carry is gained for about 2. That was Peyton Lucas on the carry.
Will, you mentioned Tyler Bell, young man who played freshman basketball at Sequoyah last season, a two-sport athlete. Got a few of them out here for Sequoyah. But like you said, a lot of depth out there for this Sequoyah Chief wing T offense.
Yeah, we got to see it on display against Etowah as well in that scrimmage game. As Matthew Traynor trots back out to the huddle here. And for Woodstock fans, you got to have a little bit of faith, right? This is the first game and the first time you're running this offense and the first time you're running this defense. And let's face it, they're exciting games, but they're non-region. So as far as playoffs go, you can lose all of these and then get after it in the region standings. Although we don't expect Woodstock to, as they're bringing pressure off the edge and pretty good pressure out there. I believe it was finally completed, but Carson Gray was right in the face of Jack Piescores, and Piescores was pushed back into Matthew Traynor.
Uh-oh.
So it looks like Traynor might be a little shaken up here, guys.
Yeah, it looks like he might be grabbing that right calf. Let's take a look.
Alex Conti is listed as the backup, and he's going to have to hobble off here. Now that would be a big loss. We'll keep an eye on that as the clock hits 0 and the fourth quarter is on tap. Sequoyah 21, Woodstock 0. Let's take a 1-minute break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the final quarter of action. You're listening to the Tri-State Communications Sports Network on 101.1 FM, WLJA.
Hi, it's Dave Garner, voice of the Cherokee County Game of the Week. But did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative and poverty prevention specialist? For over 130 years, Woodman Life has protected families with life insurance and retirement products. And as your local agent, I want to make sure that your money outlives you and that you don't outlive your money. Call or text me at 706-273-9347 or visit my Facebook page at Dave Garner Woodman Life to learn how I can help you or your loved ones today. Insurance protection, financial security, Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Prescription medications can help us live longer and healthier lives, but any medication has the potential to do harm if misused. Drug-Free Cherokee would like to remind you to only use prescription medications as directed by a health professional. Never share your medications with others or use someone else's. Always store your medications securely to prevent others from taking them, and properly dispose of medications that you no longer need. Be a good example for those around you and promote safe medication practices and teach others to do the same. Visit drugfreecherokee.com.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here as we are set for the fourth quarter of action. It looks like Sequoyah is going to set up and try a field goal as we saw Trainer hobble off. So the holder will now be Alex Conti. So keep an eye on that as he's a junior.
This is big right here. This puts it a four-score game.
So 40-yard kick from the near hash. The kick is up, and that's
blocked.
No good.
Yeah.
It was tipped at the line, so a little bit of advantage here for the Wolverines. They'll take over, and you have to feel like that's a huge momentum swing and something they can build off of. Look, guys, it's down by 3 scores, and that's obviously not where you want to be, especially against a wing T team, but things are far from out of reach, especially for a spread team with the big players like Nick Rule and Adonis Garcia out on the corners. They have every opportunity to string something together here and take it back.
Yeah, you're right, Will. They do have an opportunity, but they're running out of time here. It's still a 3-score ball game, but they got to get something at least out of this drive. Quick update: Creekview up now, 35-0. Mason Hicks showing his skill. Shout out to Vaughn Brown who's given us these Creekview score updates.
Vaughn always doing the Lord's work, providing us with the score updates. Hendricks in motion. This time it's a handoff, and they're dedicated to the run game, but a loss of about 1. As we've got a student section battle going on. You're hearing the Sequoyah fans going crazy over there. Expect a response from the Woodstock faithful as they're still here and packed out. Neon. Love the themes in high school football. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about as the Student Government Association gets together, decides on the themes. You know, we have normally it's a good USA night in there built in, a camo night, a cowboy night, a jersey night, neon night. A lot of fun festivities. Even a Greek night's fun, too. So we've got a timeout from Hoff. You're right about that. Everybody gets the bed sheets. Moms are sitting there at home going, where's his bed sheets?
It's toga night. It's toga night. Hey, I tell you what, the Chiefs fans have a lot to cheer about tonight. 21 points on the board, and really we've talked a lot about Trainer on the offense, but let's go back and talk a little bit about Sequoyah's defense. I mean, they've really been impressive tonight.
Yeah, they really have. I think Brent Buddy coming over may be one of the best things that's happened to Sequoyah in a long time, since Collier Paith probably, and I think that you can see Sequoyah kind of building momentum, Zakk.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing great, sound defense. Everybody is always in position, and they're pretty much stopping them at everything they're trying to do. I mean, Woodstock's really got to get creative to try to fool this defense because, I mean, they're not messing up.
I tell you, it's going to be a great matchup coming up next week, Art, for our WLJA Cherokee County Game of the Week on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network, as Sequoyah will be hosting the Cherokee Warriors for the first time this season. It'll be the first home game at Skip Pope. Excited to see that one. And their defense is going to be tested against the arm of A.J. Swan and a slew of weapons to go to. As Cuomo swings this one out here, out to about the 20, makes a man miss. I believe that was Benji Shackelford on the reception, and it was. So back to the original line of scrimmage and a gain of a yard. 3rd and 9 here with 11 minutes to go. Woodstock not in too big of a hurry, still trying to set up their offense. And you kind of feel like maybe for Hoff, this is more of a coaching moment for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe something like a pump fake just to throw them off a little bit. I mean, kind of going back to Sequoyah's defense, I mean, their pursuit is impressive. Back in the day, my high school days at North Forsyth, we were called the Black Swarm, a bunch of black jerseys swarming to the ball. I mean, these are white jerseys. They're swarming right to the ball. I mean, they're doing a great job.
Maybe could even steal a name from the Yellow Jackets or something like that, since they have a similar color scheme. Substitute the blue for black, and you've got Sequoyah As this ball's complete, that was a good one. That was a simple stop right there. Turn around on the curl. That pass completed out to number 4, Miles Barnwell, another first-year senior who's getting the start. And something a little clicking here is that it's enough to move those chains. And now we're seeing a heavy package check back in as Benji Shackelford, and looks like that we will have Alex Hendricks checking back into the game here. So Preston Lawrence at running back as well. 3 wide for them. Once again, the offensive line having a pretty good night so far. Benji Shackelford to the left of Tyler Duthit. Send Hendricks in motion. And it's a handoff to Lawrence. A pretty good hold there. Rumbling, stumbling forward. It's going to be a gain of about 5. And 2nd and 5. And once again, the Wolverine running attack has really been working all night, Zakk. They just haven't stuck with it for the majority of their drives.
Yeah, I can't figure out what it is. I mean, they get it moving a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just totally go away from it. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you.
Something they have to figure out moving forward, that's for sure. We'll talk about their schedule on the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta postgame show, so make sure you stay tuned for that, as we'll also announce our Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram player of the game. This time it's a handoff to Lawrence right up the middle, and he's going to be close to the first down marker, about 1.5 yards shy. So 3rd and manageable here.
I will say Duthit definitely has a bit of an it factor. Being a junior, I mean, he's got a great frame. I definitely think if he's wanting to go to Maryland or whoever else offers him, as soon as he gets in that program and gets on their nutrition program and in their weight room, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's done a really great job tonight.
Yeah, that offer came during his sophomore season, so we're talking about a whole nother offseason since then, and wouldn't be surprised with some of the tape he puts out. We know how well recruited Cherokee County is with the swell of talent that's come in the last few years. As Hendricks in motion again. Cuomo gives it off to Lawrence, and he's met hard at midfield, but he's going to carry him out to about the 48-yard line for Sequoyah. So move those chains as the clock takes just under 9 minutes. This slow, steady Woodstock offense building a little something now.
Yeah, it's a methodical drive right now, Will and Zakk, but they're running out of time here if they're looking at winning this ball game.
Yeah, exactly.
As we're set here with 4 wide receivers, 1 running back. As Cuomo, that was Julie Crow, the athletic director here, coming over to say hey. It's nice to see her. Thank them. Oh, the route was jumped, but a great completion out to Hendricks. Makes a man miss. Slung out of bounds by Matthew Trainer, so he's back as they're jawing a little bit.
I think they were talking about maybe their holiday plans. Trainer saying, hey, I'm going to be in Hickory Flat, and he's getting a message from Hendricks saying, hey, I'm going to be down in Woodstock for Thanksgiving.
I think they were exchanging what they wanted for gifts.
Okay, that maybe yeah.
You know, I was looking at a tackling dummy for you. I don't think that would be a great idea. I'm more of a quarterback than a safety, but I do play occasionally. How about a throwing machine? That would be very helpful as we're set with 4 wide.
Good pull.
Cuomo's going to keep it and fire it out wide, just too high for the intended target. That was intended for number 8 out there. That's Pickens once again, Caden Pickens.
Will, you mentioned Coach Crow coming over to say hello to his former basketball coach, like you said, now the athletic director here at Woodstock. So we're very gracious that Woodstock has us out here broadcasting this game.
Yeah, and that's one thing we talk about is this is our 5th year of high school football on WLJA, and of course the Tri-State Communications Sports Network gets kicked off on WPGY next week as Pickens will host Chattooga. Excuse me, I almost said Coosa, but it's Chattooga. They play Coosa later in the season. As this one swung out wide, another high throw, but it's caught, and it's going to be a gain of about nothing there. If that throw's on target, you have to feel like he might be able to work his way upfield, as that was completed to Michael Precer.
I think he's a little excited. I will admit, a positive for the Woodstock fans out there. That last play, he pulled the ball, and he had a guy open. I think he just was a little excited and just overthrew him a bit.
Sometimes the worst thing you can have happen as a young quarterback is for the play to be wide open, because you get that pressure built in of, oh my gosh, if I don't hit this, I'm going to look like, the biggest loser in this stadium. So there's a little pressure on him. Now, Cuomo only played about 6 or 7 games at quarterback before it was Preston Lawrence then, as he surveys here, and he's going to swing it out once again to Precer, and Precer catches it all the way up for a gain of about 2. It was a much longer pass given the horizontal action, not so much the vertical attack. And it'd be interesting to see if Woodstock. with 7 minutes left here to go, and that's what they're going to do.
Isaiah Sanders in pursuit, making that tackle. Really good wrap up there to make sure that was all they get was about 2.5 yards.
Working things out here. We got Adonis Garcia working on the near side. We've got Pickens working on the other side, and then in the slot you got Brady Williams, who's been targeted a couple times tonight. Once again, Dan Cuomo, the quarterback, joined alongside Preston Lawrence. Cuomo gets the snap.
A lot of pressure.
And it's completed out to Lawrence. He's racing for the first down marker. He's got it and just going to dip out of bounds before the pursuing Ridley Joseph can get to him, but that's enough for a first down by a yard. Move those chains, and it'll set up a very good starting position here, Zakk. Finally, a little bit of life from Woodstock here late, we're just under 7 minutes to go in the final quarter.
Hey, it's still doable, man. They still have time. As long as there's time on the clock, the game is always winnable. But I want to point out great maturity there by number 6, getting out of bounds and stopping the clock.
Preston Lawrence, a very savvy player, as we mentioned. Senior, played all over the field and still does. Linebacker, safety, running back, quarterback, can really do anything on the football field.
Picked up a good block there, too.
And unfortunately for him, he's going to be met by Harrison Hood. So that's Harrison Hood's second sack of the night, making a case for the Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram player of the game, possibly.
Yes, he is. Hood getting back there, also assisted by Carter Sant on that sack. Setting Woodstock up in a second and long here at the 30-yard line as the clock continues to run up under 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
2nd and 21 set up here. What's in the playbook for that? Probably something underneath, although you have to feel like one-on-one coverage down here below with Pickens.
Hey, he's got double now. No.
Rolling over.
Post.
Loading up, and that was just a little bit behind the intended target. It looks like it was intended for Garcia. So complete pass makes it 3rd and 21 as the clock now shows 5 minutes and 59 seconds. Once again, the score here, Sequoyah 21, Woodstock 0. Coach Troy Hoff's first game, a coach that averages 30.7 points per game over his career with a 51-17 record in 5 seasons at Eastside Covington. Brings a lot of talent to the field as well.
I think it's going to take a few games.
It certainly does.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, I like what I've seen so far. There are definitely some positives to take away from this game, and they're going to go back and watch film and be like, oh, if I just took this right step or I just made this correct block, this would have had a very different outcome.
It's going to be flags for holding in the backfield. Doesn't matter. Pass incomplete. It'll be interesting to see if Sequoyah wants to back them up the additional 10 yards or make it 3rd and 31, or if they're content with a 4th and 21.
I almost could imagine you got to be
content
with
right?
fourth down here. Your defense is held in your own end zone. You got to imagine Woodstock's going for this anyway.
Brent Buddy over there on the sidelines getting everybody fired up, and they do decline it. So 4th and 21. So they're basically going to try and convert this from where they converted the last 4th down, maybe even a little bit further back than that. I believe that hold was on Chase Blaylock out there, the guard. So we've seen him subbed in a couple of times. They're rotating everyone. The other thing for Woodstock, too, is the depth is going to be a concern for them as they get later in the season. And we'll talk about their schedule and the rest of what you can expect to see from them on the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta postgame show. They got River Ridge up next, which River Ridge looks like they're finally pulling away from Lassiter a little bit last we checked. So, and there's going to be a timeout from Sequoyah to talk this one out, make sure everybody tackles and wraps up. Why don't we take one with them? We'll be back in 30 seconds. You're listening to the Tri-State Communications Sports Network on 101.1 FM, WLJA.
It's football time, and Brian Aaron at Woodstock Outlet has some great news for all the football fans.
Hey, y'all, we are glad to be a sponsor for these games and have a great time. Stay safe out there, and we just really do love being part of our community, and thankful we got the best customers a business could possibly have. And we built a new warehouse. We got it full for the pickup or delivery, so we're ready to go. Y'all come see us, and we sure do appreciate you.
Wow, Central coming in there.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here at Woodstock High School. We're talking about scores from around the area, guys. Of course, we are keeping our eye on Etowah and Creekview, and as well as River Ridge and Lassiter. The Cherokee Warriors not in action tonight. They took part in the Corky Kell on Wednesday, defeated Mays 52-6, off to a roaring start there. A very exciting team to watch. And, guys, we'll be watching the Sequoyah Chiefs host the Cherokee Warriors next week, as we're excited about some of the upgrades we've seen at Skip Pope Stadium, as well as they've got a brand new video board, adding a visiting press box, so a lot of upgrades coming to Skip Pope, which is already one of the classic stadiums you'll find in North Georgia, and especially in Cherokee County. As we're back to action, Cuomo loads up and fires. Garcia's wide open. It's underthrown, and it's going to be intercepted in the end zone by Connor Sant, and a touchback. If he had hit him in stride, it would have been an easy touchdown, just underthrown a hair, and Garcia tried to play defense, but Connor Sant comes up with an interception. So that is the third interception of the game for the Sequoyah defense.
Yeah, Will, a great play by Sant in the end zone. That ends a 12-play drive that Woodstock was on. Ate up a ton of time. They started that drive at the beginning of the fourth quarter, chewed up a ton of clock, but empty on this one as Sequoyah will take over. And like we mentioned ad nauseum here, Wayne T's getting ready to ground it out right here.
Yeah, that might be the last time the Wolverines see the ball, because after an entire game of those guys leaning up on that defensive line that's been rotating about 4 or 5 guys in and a little undersized to begin with, they're actually moving to what looks like almost setting their splits right. Preston Lawrence, the quarterback of the defense, making sure everybody's lined up right, and a timeout for Sequoyah again. So let's take another timeout with them. Let's take a 30-second one, and we'll be back. You're listening to the WLJA Cherokee County Game of the Week on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network.
When you are the official sponsor of the comeback, adding a few feet to a drive matters. First down. So does shaving a tenth of a second off a lap. Top-rated surgery, physical therapy, and motion analysis by the sports medicine team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta helps young athletes not only prevent injuries, but heal faster and return stronger, ready to win. Our more than 25 orthopedic and sports medicine locations are ready to assist your athlete's comeback. To learn more, visit choa.org/sportsmed.
Welcome back into the broadcast booth here at the Woodshed at Woodstock High School with the Woodstock Wolverines. Falling a little bit behind the Chiefs, 21-0. We've got a little over 5 minutes left of the game here. We were talking at the break about this Sequoyah defense, guys, and how they're flying around to the ball. And as they get set for offense here, we'll just pick up this after this play. As Matthew Traynor sends a man in motion, fakes it, tried to draw Woodstock offsides again, but no dice there. Kind of interesting to see an ADO on 1st and 10. And looks like Sequoyah is going to be able to rumble forward. Still fighting. That's Cruz right for a gain of about 5. So 2nd and 5 here as the clock will now tick under 5 minutes with that run. But, guys, as we mentioned, this team for Sequoyah right now looking really solid, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Zakk, you were talking about your time at North Forsyth and some of the comparisons you were drawing there. What do you like particularly about the Sequoyah defense?
I mean, they're hustling. That's number one. They're flying around. They're always around the ball. They haven't been out of place or anything like that. Haven't had any big plays that they've gotten beaten on very often. A couple in there. But overall, very, very sound defense coming from Sequoyah.
Setting the traditional wing tee here. Cruz set in motion, handoff.
Oh, big hole.
And he's off to the races. Look out. This might be pay dirt. As that is Peyton Lucas streaking across the field. Nick Rule in pursuit. Nobody's going to catch him. A giant run. Touchdown Sequoyah to make this one 27-0, pending the extra point. My goodness, what a great hole out there. And he was just able to take it to the races, and nobody's going to catch him in open dirt.
Looked like a little bit of a counter move there by Lucas. Breaks it open, 75-yard scamper on the touchdown score. We talked about Sequoyah's quick. We talked about the wing tee, but they've shown some quick play, quick strike capability tonight. That drive under a minute. They're in the end zone, pending the extra point. It's 28-0.
Well, I think when Sequoyah, we talk about they have one athlete normally, right? It was Jaden Mitchell last year, and the name escapes me. Art will be able to help me out. Northern Illinois, it is Miles McGee. Thank you. That's why I love having you around. If I forget anything, this guy's got it. Miles McGee, they've always had that one athlete, and it seems like this year they don't have just one. They have 3 guys that can do that. Matthew Traynor being one of them, Peyton Lucas that we just saw, Jackson Hancock, and not to be outdone, Jack Pyscore is also a very explosive player. So we're seeing Sequoyah having a put-together backfield of guys that can just take it to the house at any given time, which is something Chase was telling us about on the Foundation Financial Insurance Wealth Management halftime show.
You're absolutely right, Will. A lot of times, even with a back like Jaden Mitchell last year where you had one guy, teams really key in on that. And you see a team like Creekview that has a great defense that really takes advantage and takes that away. This year it looks like you can't just take away one player for the Chiefs, and they've been effective. 7 points in every quarter across the board tonight. They're going to go back to Hickory Flat, very happy team.
As we've got Jackson Hancock out on the ends of the hands team, getting the Sequoyah faithful riled up. As we mentioned, they'll be back at Skip Pope next week, next Friday, and that's where we'll be as well, as we will watch Cherokee play Sequoyah here. Woodstock will move on and play River Ridge next week. That game is also here at the Woodshed, so the Woodstock faithful expected to pack the house again, and kind of what you would expect to be a pretty good traveling River Ridge crowd given the success last year. And also, it's probably only 10 minutes away from home for most of these River Ridge folks as well. Obviously, Sequoyah is not much of a drive either for Woodstock, but nonetheless, good to see stands full, good to see everyone out there, and glad all of you are listening with us here on a beautiful Friday night in Woodstock, Georgia. The kick is deep and kicked to about the 5-yard line. Hendricks bounces off a man going to try and work back outside, and he'll finally be wrapped up at about the 23-yard line as the clock stops at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. It'll be interesting to see if Troy Hoff is content to run his normal offense or if he's going to try to score quickly, guys.
Yeah, I'd imagine we're going to see normal offense here.
Yeah.
Looking at the victories out of the window, maybe as Zakk has mentioned several times tonight and made great points. Look, they've got a lot of coaching opportunities, and this is something that situationally they can do to show maybe something in the film and maybe show even a little wrinkle for River Ridge next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that getting those reps is probably the most important thing for Woodstock right now. Again, because they've got the new coach and the new offense and everything else. So
we see Priester take that one for a loss of about 1, 2nd and 11. And I think you guys are right. I mean, this is a young team. Coach Hoff came over, first time he's been here. And it's going to be the first time he's facing a lot of these opponents as well. No record with Sequoyah. And just don't know what to expect. And obviously, Sequoyah had the drop on him with the head coach at Woodstock being here and now the defensive coordinator at Sequoyah. So they've obviously had a little bit of scouting reports that the average team wouldn't. So River Ridge will be able to get a game of tape on them and see what worked as they're going to run this one back in. One thing River Ridge is really going to have to do with them is make sure that the running game is stopped, because Woodstock's been pretty consistent in running the ball, especially behind Tyler Duthett.
Yeah, they have. It just never seemed to get consistent, but no rhythm in every drive. And so they've been fits and starts, I guess might be the best way to put that. But again, it looks like they may have found something they can focus on next week heading into that River Ridge defense.
Still splitting 4 out wide. Looks like Garcia will work on the far side here. You got Stacks over on the near side, and that's not Asa. That's True Stacks of the wide receiver. And they're going to sling it out wide. Got a man open, and it's caught and complete. That was number 18, Brady Williams, his second catch of the night. Complete out to about the 48-yard line. So move those chains with 3 minutes and 17 seconds left here to go. Woodstock doing a pretty good job here. We've seen them be able to move it in between, let's say the 30s. It's not so much the 20s, but the 30s. It's just been getting in there. They tend to have, we mentioned they have 3 interceptions on the night. That's very difficult to overcome, especially when your offense is struggling so much. You have to feel like a couple of field goals may have benefited them more. But nonetheless, they're going to fake the handoff here. Priester's going to release. They got a man underneath. Cuomo not seeing anything he likes. He's just going to tuck it and run, as Zakk mentioned earlier. And he'll step out right about the 42-yard line.
And those are those moments that I'm talking about where you go back and you review film and coach goes, okay, you saw everybody downfield was covered. You tucked it and ran. Now we've got a first down. We've got some more downs to work with. And those kinds of moments are exactly what they need. And Woodstock is going to continue to get better.
For sure. And I think that's something that we talk about a lot in Cherokee County is, A.J. Swan, Carson Latham, even Mason Hicks have some wheels. They're able to get outside and get open. Obviously, we can talk about Matthew Traynor doing that, but he could really be a running back if he wanted to. It just so happens he's a pretty darn good thrower as well. Good blocking. Cuomo's going to load up and fire out there, and really good defense as Brady Williams had a step on the defender, but finally rolled over was Kenyon Lewis, it looks like, sophomore defensive back out there, able to put his hand up and knock it away from Williams, so bring up 2nd and 10. But as you mentioned, Zakk, pretty good improvisation from Cuomo. So they'll set up here with 3 wide. The play-action game is open, and Sequoyah only bringing 3. Kind of wonder if that's going to be the strategy against a bigger Cherokee team or if they'll try and stick with a little extra pressure, as Cuomo still has all day to throw, and that's over the hands of Brady Williams. Probably should have caught it. A good throw over the middle, but falls harmlessly to the turf and sets up 3rd and 10.
Will, you mentioned Como. Ball probably should have been caught. Como's really flashed a live arm tonight. He's made some pretty good throws, and that always been helped out by his wide receivers. So some corrections to make, as Zakk mentioned, but I do believe this Woodstock team will be all right come later in this Region 5, 7, 8 schedule.
It's young wide receiving core, right? They came in as a group, all 4 or 5 of them having 5 receptions, and that's all from Nick Rule. So there's just not a lot of depth. They lost Hudson Burns, Sebastian Moss, and David Daniel. As Cuomo fires up and loads, he's got a man out there, and it's knocked away.
Good defense.
Once again, the Sequoyah defensive backs are just eating them alive. I believe that was Carter Sant out there in coverage. The intended pass recipient was Cam Smith.
I think number 12 needs to find a happy medium. I think on the long balls, he underthrows just a touch, and on these short, quick routes, he just lightly overthrows just out of the reach of his receivers. So I think, once again, going back to those reps, between practice and these games, he's gonna figure it out. He's gonna find that middle ground.
Cuomo, as we mentioned, only played about 6 or 7 games as the starter. They tried out Peyton Lynch, and then obviously it was Preston Lawrence who started the season as quarterback as they split 3 wide. And that's a bad snap. Cuomo doing a good job, smart heads-up play, not to take any more punishment than needed as he just takes a knee right at midfield.
That's going to be a
turnover on downs.
Yeah.
So effectively, don't know the best way to put it. I was going to say effectively a punt, but it's really not, obviously.
I mean, at least he got on it. Again, I'm always looking for the silver linings. If you're a coach, what are you looking at? And you're saying, okay, obviously this play broke down. What did you do that was positive? Okay, then we'll work on the other stuff. So getting on the ball, keeping them from scooping and scoring is
heads up
best
play.
Is really best you can do there.
It's a heads up play, and again, you kind of mitigate some of that loss right there.
See what they got in the bag here with 2 minutes and 41 seconds left. Really only need a first down.
Looks like Alex Conti has come in to close out this game at quarterback for the Chiefs.
See some younger players here as that's a fullback trap, excuse me. That handoff to number 25, it looked like from my vantage point. Number 25 is number 26. I was 16?
15, I'm
15.
sorry. Kamar Plummer actually on the carry.
Oh, really? My goodness.
I'm sorry. We can't.
Signals crossed up here. It's also hard to see up here, to be fair.
That's funny right there. So they gained about 8 yards, does Kamar. So Kamar was one of the guys that was a big part of that defense last year playing defensive tackle, but Brady Curl has taken over that spot. So still have him listed on the depth chart. He's definitely a guy that you can rely on.
Yeah, they're just running dive now, just running out the clock.
That'll be enough for a first down. With 1:52, they would technically need another first down, which they might be content. We'll just have to see here.
Plummer, probably a defensive lineman's dream to carry that football there, and it's looks like he's checked out now. As number 40's in at tailback.
So the last time that Troy Hoff as a coach, as this carries outside to number 40 on the carry, that's Javon Salazar, third string fullback there. Last time Troy Hoff was shut out as a coach was 2017, August 25th, and that's the only time it's ever happened in his coaching career. So this will be another mark on that. But, of course, as we mentioned, it's difficult to say, right? It's first year. Obviously, we know that Coach Hoff is going to get this program in a better position. It's a lot like Coach Kemper at Etowah. The pedigree tells you, and looking at history repeats itself, and you know that there's going to be a better program than what they have right now. It just takes time to build that. So a lot of patience will be required here in the Woodstock area. As this is another carry outside. I believe that time it was number 24, Graydon Zarder.
Got some extracurriculars out there.
Little unfriendlies. Starters are still in for Woodstock. Getting those reps in is really important for them. So we see number 26 for Woodstock check into the game now. That's Tyler Halliban, senior, his first game tonight. Well, as we mentioned, a lot of senior starters, but also a good bit of first-year starters. So even though they're seniors, maybe not any direct action. As that handoff is working its way towards the end zone, still fighting, finally drugged down And with 15 seconds left to go, that'll be the end of it as the Sequoyah Chiefs fans are turned on the flashlights, wishing the Woodstock Wolverines a good night. And Sequoyah will be content to walk out of this one with a 28-0 victory. Folks, it's been the Cherokee County Game of the Week, but don't you dare move that radio dial. You know we've got the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Cherokee pregame, postgame show coming up with the Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram player of the game. We're going to take a 2-minute break so we can figure out who that is, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Tri-State Communications Sports Network.
Welcome to Perk Up. What can I get you?
Can I have a large, skinny, non-fat macchiato with
My 15-year-old has the taste buds of a middle-aged woman, but she's no adult. That's why we took her to Children's for her scoliosis. Their pediatric orthopedic program is nationally ranked. Their specialists understand growing bones and how to treat them. My kid ordering an adult-style coffee? Okay. Going to an adult doctor? Not so much.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Orthopedics. Where you take them matters. Learn more at choa.org/ortho.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Canton. They've found the best used cars and trucks to fill their lot. Hundreds to choose from. Just go to SchottenkirkChrysler.com and do a search. Then come by and test drive your choice or buy online. Schottenkirk is proud to call Cherokee County home and are happy to be the dealer with a fully stocked lot of cars and trucks. Schottenkirk Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off Riverstone Parkway in Canton at 200 Liberty Boulevard.
In times of uncertainty, it's nice to know that there's still some things that are certain. Hi, I'm Dave Garner here, your local Woodman Life representative. I want to make sure that your family is protected with needs-based life insurance through Woodman Life. Life insurance has many benefits. It's not just something that's there when you pass. It's mortgage protection, family savings, debt relief, replacing lost income, and overall peace of mind. Some companies sell it because they have to. We sell it because it's what we do. Call for a free quote today or visit me online, and let's make certain that you're protected from today's uncertainty.
It's football time, and Brian Aaron at Woodstock Outlet has some great news for all the football fans.
Hey, y'all, we are glad to be a sponsor for these games and have a great time. Stay safe out there, and we just really do love being part of our community, and thankful we got the best customers a business could possibly have. And we built a new warehouse. We got it full for the pickup or delivery, so we're ready to go. Y'all come see us, and we sure do appreciate you.
You've seen the many car dealer lots that are almost empty. Not at Schottenkirk.
Welcome back into the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta post-game show. We're going to go ahead and send it to an interview that our very own Asa Spades-Jones did back at Master Controls. Asa, take it away.
Thank you, guys. Everyone, welcome into the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta post-game show, and I've got another special interview for you with Janet Reed, Community Development Officer for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Janet, welcome in. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Same here. So we had Lori Cole on the other day, and I was able to ask her about some of the services that Children's Healthcare of Atlanta offers around the Cherokee County area. But this time we want to narrow it down a little bit and talk more specifically about your sports medicine and orthopedic centers and those services. So out of curiosity, are those two separate centers, or are they the same thing? Are they in the same location? How does that work?
We actually have clinics for both of those, and they're in the same location. They are up at Riverstone Parkway, and they are near the Walmart. They actually are across the parking lot from Walmart. So we've been in those locations for about 6 years each. We started with our sports medicine originally there, so that's been there the longest. And the folks can come there if they need any kind of rehab. We cover all sports. We have hours that run a little later in the evening, which really helps with our athletes that are going to school. So we have a physical therapist, Jenny Meyer, who is just amazing there, and she and her staff would love to help anybody and work with folks that, need a little bit more work following some sort of an injury. And then more recently, which within the last year, is when we have had our orthopedics there. And they're a great group as well. So if your child needs need to see an orthopedist, this is a great way. It's convenient to Cherokee, which is why they put it in that same location.
Let's talk about the awareness month that's coming up. You have Children's Cancer Awareness Month coming up, and I know that you're throwing on a special golf tournament to raise awareness for this. Is that right?
We are. The month of September, we're going to be featuring childhood cancer awareness. And if you go to our website, choa.org, there's some great things on there. And there's also, I think, maybe going to be some healthy competitions between some of our high schools as far as what they're doing in that area. So maybe some of our local high schools would like to get involved in that. But that will be the entire month of September. And there's a really cool T-shirt that's out there that you can design yourself, or you can personalize it yourself. And then the Cherokee Community Board is putting together our second annual golf tournament, and that will be Monday, November 1st at the Fairways of Canton. So if you would like to buy a hole sign or sponsor a team or just play golf yourself, we would love to have you. It's a great course out there, and we just really have there's a great staff out there that works with us, and this is our second go-round. So we're a little more experienced than we were last year, but the money is going to go to our patients right here in Cherokee County.
All right. Well, Janet, thank you for being with me tonight. Lastly, if you wouldn't mind telling the people how they can contact you if they have any questions or concerns.
Thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach me at janet.reed, and that's R-E-A-D, just like you read a book, at choa.org. Via my email, we're happy to answer any questions. And good luck, and go to all our Cherokee teams. We're super excited. We know they're going to make a great showing tonight and make us proud.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me for this special interview on the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta postgame show. And now, guys, we're sending it right back to you.
Thank you, Asa. Great job on the interview as always. And thank you to Janet for being with us on the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta postgame show, one of our most loyal sponsors throughout the years, as this is our 5th year of Cherokee County High School football. And this has been Kickoff Week. Art, wrapping things up here, my friend. We made it.
We made it.
Our voices are shot. We've been broadcasting this week for about 8 to 9 hours. We did a 64-minute pregame show on Wednesday, wrapped the game up in the 91-degree heat, and here we came back tonight with a game that we were all really excited about, and I think it was very telling for both sides of the coin there, as Sequoyah wins this one 28-0 on our Woodstock Furniture Outlet scoreboard to wrap things up. Is there anything in particular that you were interested to see in this one that you took away from this that maybe building forward these teams can work on?
Yeah, a couple of things. First, for Sequoyah, one thing I want to mention, the unofficial stats here, Matthew Traynor, 9 of 12 for 90 yards, very efficient in the backfield. Offensively, they were able to get several running backs involved. And as we mentioned before with Zakk up here during the broadcast, the